Good afternoon, everybody from Right Side Broadcasting Network. I'm Matthew Alvarez. We have a full week of coverage for you. This is pretty much RNC part 2, right? So there's so many things going on this week for the Republicans, especially with President Trump and Senator J.D. Vance touring so many states this week, at least 4 campaign stops in different states in 5 days, if not 5 different states in 5 days. So today is York, Pennsylvania. As you see there, President Trump will speak at 3 o'clock today at a facility there, talking a lot about jobs and the economy. So we'll have that live coverage for you as well. We also know that tomorrow he'll be in Michigan, North Carolina on Wednesday. On Thursday and Friday, it's out to the West Coast, Arizona. We know on Thursday the president will be in Cochise County touring the southern border. And then on Friday, there will be a rally in Glendale, Arizona. So a jam-packed week. This is a lot of great information because it's a counter-programming to what's going on the left. You know, we've got chaos and weakness in Chicago with the DNC. And then, of course, on the right, we have our lines, our ducks in a row, right? In the sense of we know that today's theme is Make America Wealthy Again here on Monday. Tomorrow, it's Make America Safe Again. On Wednesday, it is Make America Strong Again. On Thursday, Make America Secure Again. And then on Friday, Make America Great Again. So again, it's like an RNC style week as we see what's been happening on the left when it comes to Chicago. I know there's going to be a lot of protesters that are already there trying to hold their own press conferences, and we'll see what it looks like when it comes to this week there. But outside of all that, we know that this is a campaign of lying on the left and then the truth-telling on the right. And people can say, well, how can you say that? Well, it's common sense. The Make America Great Again platform is common sense. It's, hey, you know what? We want freedom here. We want our gas prices, our rental prices, our airfare, all of that back to what it was under President Trump, maybe even lower, who knows. And we also want our freedoms intact. We want the Constitution to continue to be the law of the land. So that's what the right wing of the country wants. But the leadership of the left wing has gone so extreme, even the mainstream press is starting to call it out. So we know that Democrats are starting to say, you know what, I'm not that far left. I'd rather go toward the middle or the right. And that's a lot of voters right there. So we see with the boots on the ground and the polling out there, and again, the common sense versus all of the chaos on the left, you see which choice is clear. It's the freedom ticket versus the control ticket, right? Freedom and the way forward for America first and make America great again versus a lot of negative things that we see on the left when it comes to Tim Walz being selected by Kamala Harris. You can see how extreme left he is with a lot of policies. So we definitely don't want what happened in Minnesota to happen to our country. We definitely don't want what happened in Venezuela to happen to our nation. Some of these people on the left and these leaders, they just really want to have destruction in our country. So not all Democrats, not all Republicans. It comes down to the free people that want freedom versus the few that don't. All right, so we interviewed a couple people earlier today, right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I mentioned about the RNC kind of being like this is a second round of that. I mean, this is very historic. Think about it. I mean, usually when the RNC, the convention, has its Monday through Thursday, the DNC kind of stays quiet, and that's kind of what happened this year too. But this time around, this is not just business as usual, as some of the media have tried to make it, that this is just a Republican versus a Democrat, and here's why the Democrats should win, which is what we hear on the left, right? But now we have the RNC in conjunction. Obviously, the Trump campaign and the RNC are on the same team, moving forward, saying, you know what? We see what you're trying to do in this nation. we're not going to have it, and we're going to have a number of campaign events. So again, Monday through Friday this week, there are campaign events, and every one of them will be live right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. We'll have correspondents at all of them. Our cameras will be everywhere from Michigan to North Carolina to Arizona, today in Pennsylvania. And I might be missing a state. Michigan, North Carolina, Arizona, and PA. So those are the stops this week. I did speak to someone with the RNC. He's the Strategic Communications Director, Tommy Pigott. We can go to that right now. Well, Tommy, thank you so much for joining us here at Right Side.
Of course, thanks for having me on.
So it looks like it's RNC round 2 this week. It's a lot of themes that were similar, but it's always good to have counter programming to the DNC, isn't it?
Yeah, well, ultimately, it's round 2 because we have the truth on our side. The Democrats don't. So they're going to try to go out there and say, the economy's great, our standing on the world has improved, the border's secure. We know on all of those issues and more, the exact opposite is true. We went from the most secure border in American history to the worst border crisis in American history. We went from a booming economy to an economy in disaster under Kamala Harris. We went from historic peace agreements in the Middle East being signed under President Trump to a world in chaos under Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. So it's a bit like counter-programming, but ultimately we have the truth on our side. On the Republican side, President Trump has the vision to make America great again, and Democrats have the same old tried and failed policies.
And it reminds me what you were just saying there. It's fight, fight, fight versus fake, fake, fake. Am I not right?
That's 100% true, and the facts back that up. President Trump has been fighting for America from the day he stepped down the escalator. Even before that, he's been fighting to make sure the forgotten men and women of this country are forgotten no longer. Versus Kamala Harris, who is dishonestly trying to say she's a new figure on the political scene. Nothing could be farther from the truth. She was the deciding vote for the inflationary spending that increased costs. She was the border czar during the worst border crisis in U.S. history. She said she was the last person in the room for the decision on that disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal, one of the worst moments in our country's history and the worst foreign policy disaster in a generation. She was the last person in the room for that. So ultimately, Kamala Harris has a failed record, and she wants to go even farther left.
Exactly, and then we see that in her pick in Tim Walz. It kind of reveals where her heart, her mind, her direction she wants to take the country. Can you believe it that they want to go that far left?
I mean, this is the farthest left ticket ever in history to be put up on the national level, and there's no dispute on that. Kamala Harris, as her first major economic proposal, introduced Soviet-style price controls, and that's the liberal Washington Post calling it that. Not even just the Trump campaign and RNC. The liberal Washington Post has conceded that Kamala Harris has Soviet-style price controls. She wants to add bread lines and shortages to her record of fueling inflation. That's what Kamala Harris wants to do. And you're exactly right to say that Tim Walz has such a dangerously liberal record that for all of Kamala's effort to erase her record from the internet, Tim Walz, the pick of Tim Walz, makes the argument for us about how far left she is because she picks someone with just as dangerously liberal a record as she has.
And I know that you also worked at the RNC as a rapid response director in your time there. Can you talk to us about that? Let's get a little bit deeper in the sense of it seems like their strategy is don't expose or don't show too much of really what they're about when they're out there doing speeches. I'm talking about the left wing there.
Well, we have a world-class rapid response operation, a world-class digital operation. And part of what we're doing at the RNC and Trump campaign is really showing those receipts because these far left comments that Kamala Harris has said are all on tape. So making sure we have the facts at our disposal to share with people across all different media platforms is part of that strategy. Kamala Harris has yet to publicly disavow any of the far left comments she made during the 2019 presidential race, whether that was adopting the Green New Deal, abolishing ICE, decriminalizing illegal border crossings. She has the farthest left record of any presidential nominee in history. She has yet to publicly disavow that, and we have the rapid response operation to expose that.
And why is it very, very important to show the people of this country that truth? Why is it important to keep that out there?
Because the mainstream fake news media is not going to do that. They're refusing to hold her accountable. They're refusing. We're trying to do on social media and other platforms is cut through the fake news, making sure people have those facts, those figures at their fingertips, and also showing, like you said, just how fake this all of a sudden revelation from Kamala Harris is that she's some new figure. She's not a new figure. She's the farthest left presidential nominee in the history of this country. And we're going to have those receipts. The American people are going to see them, or they're going to make their own judgment based off the facts that we're presenting to them.
And then you personally, Tommy, what is it like to be able to be in a position that you have there at the RNC to help the everyday Americans, we the people, our country, and our Constitution?
Well, it's really an honor. It's really an honor and a privilege to be part of this movement to save America, to be helping President Trump in what capacity I can to make sure he's getting his message out there. But President Trump is the best messenger for his vision. It really is an honor to try to help save this country with President Trump. Under President Trump's leadership, the RNC and Trump campaign are more motivated than ever. Our party is more united than ever under President Trump's leadership. And we really need to save this country. We need people to get involved at TrumpForce47.com. It's an honor to be part of that movement.
All right, Tommy Pigott with the Republican National Committee. Sir, thank you so much. Hope to see you again soon.
Thanks for having me on.
Good stuff.
All right, awesome. Thanks.
Well, Tommy, thank you so much. All right, great to talk to Tommy Pigott of the RNC there earlier today. We're going to get to a number of other interviews as well. And of course, we'll be tossing it out to the field as soon as our cameras are set up in York, Pennsylvania. We want to thank one of our great sponsors at MyPillow. Of course, Mike Lindell appearing on Right Side Broadcasting Network for several years. And why not help him out as well with buying some of his awesome products? You can see them there on the screen. But look at that, 80% off. Save up to 80% off using that RSBN promo code. That's pretty good savings right there. I know my family and I, we have a number of products from MyPillow, so always good to have them. They're actually really, really good. So 2-pack multi-use MyPillows, they're just $25. The MyPillow sandals are $25. Beach towels, $25. And their 6-pack towel sets are also $25. There's so many great deals here. So all you have to do is go to his page there at mypillow.com and go to /RSBN and get all of these great items with a deep savings of up to 80% off. Obviously, Mike Lindell, a rock star for the freedom movement, the MAGA movement, and America First. So on all of conservative media, he appears everywhere. Doing awesome things for this country. So mypillow.com /RSBN for up to 80% off by using that RSBN promo code. Also, let's thank Birch Gold Group. All you have to do is text Trump to 989898. You can get more information on with an info kit by texting Trump to 989898 and get that free fight silver coin that you see there when you purchase a product with the Birch Gold Group. A lot of bad things going on when it comes to the U.S. dollar out there with BRICS nations. So it's always good to have gold, silver, precious metals as a backup. And that includes a tax-sheltered IRA and also 401k. So all you have to do is text Trump to 989898. Get that info kit in the mail. Or you'll get a digital kit on your phone. So you'll be able to read all about what it is to have Birch Gold as a great financial backup plan for you. So text Trump to 989898. All right, so 3 o'clock, President Trump will speak in York, Pennsylvania. And for those of you from York County, Pennsylvania, you know a lot of industry based right there in York. There is a distribution center for Harley Davidson. There's a number of huge corporations that are actually working out of York County. So a very huge business district for the country. A lot of national known brands there. But also that's why President Trump is going there. You know, think about it. The jobs that are needed for the country and the economy to have a comeback will happen through a comeback of the greatest president that we've ever seen, Donald Trump. So that will be a great speech at 3 o'clock today. So we know that there are 19 electoral votes up for grabs in Pennsylvania. Obviously a huge swing state, and every state that President Trump and J.D. Vance are going to this week are all swing states, from Michigan, North Carolina, Arizona, and today in Pennsylvania. And speaking of Pennsylvania, Carla Sands, you might have seen her a few times on the show here. She's actually headed to a J.D. Vance event in Philadelphia. But we caught up with her earlier today as well. We're talking with her about making America wealthy again. Here's that interview. Ambassador Sands, thank you again for joining us here at Right Side.
Good morning, Matthew. Great to be with you.
So today's theme is Make America Wealthy Again. This is kind of like an RNC part 2, but at the end of the day, it's the truth versus lies.
It's true, Matthew. Everybody had more money in their pocket under President Trump's leadership. We want that back. We want to feel wealthy again. And that especially goes for our giant middle class. The middle class people in America are so squeezed under the Biden-Harris administration that they have almost $12,000 less in their account this year than they did under President Trump.
Ambassador Sands, to your point, under Kamala's inflationary spending, they're responsible, of course, for the high prices. Car insurance up 54%, hotels 51%, electricity up 31%, groceries up 21.6%. We're seeing it. I mean, the American people are seeing it too, are they not?
Yes, we all feel it at the grocery store when we go in, and it doesn't feel like up 20. It feels more like up a lot more than that. But under President Biden and Kamala Harris, they've actually spent about $7 trillion over the last 3.5 years. She wants to juice that. She says, I want the Green New Deal. I'm going to spend another $10 trillion to deliver that Green New Deal. That would mean all electric cars. That means solar and wind, but not reliable energy like gas and oil, which are renewable and actually have cleaned up our air. Not these dirty Chinese-made so-called green energies, but our natural gas from here in Pennsylvania, from Texas, North Dakota, Oklahoma, all these different wonderful American states have delivered and cleaned up our environment while they've delivered cheap power. But the main driver of the inflation, of the pain that we're all feeling everywhere, is the government spending. And Kamala Harris has doubled down by bringing on a radical like Governor Walz, who is an agent of the Chinese Communist Party, and also he has not been honest. Let's just be frank. He's stolen valor. He's lied about things over the years, and he let his own city burn. Is that who we want to hand the reins of the United States, the world's greatest superpower, to?
Her revealing that pic of Tim Walz shows where she's at with her political leaning, right?
Totally. She could have picked Josh Shapiro, who would have won her Pennsylvania most likely, and most likely would have delivered the White House. He's Jewish. He appears to be moderate, even if he votes like Tim Walz, more or less. But the fact is that Kamala Harris doubled down on radical, I would say, a new kind of Democrat Party that is veering into top-down socialist type control. Things have come out on social media recently with her claiming that she would seize patents, that she would, she would do things that it doesn't happen in America. She's so radical that she was looking for people and trying to get help for the people burning down our country in 2020 to bail them out. She's talked about defunding the police, reimagining police. This is a woman who should not be in control of the U.S. government. And let's not forget, she committed a bloodless coup against Joe Biden. It's never happened in American history that we've had a vice president pull this on a sitting U.S. president. It's outrageous. And when he speaks today, he leaves after he speaks. Joe Biden, they've taken this corrupt man and they've just pushed him aside.
And they pushed him aside to install something more corrupt and more extreme radical left. What are your thoughts about the DNC this week in the sense of the fact that there's so many protesters out there too causing havoc? It's interesting. That's all on the left. That's not on the right.
Yeah, they actually have helped fund this. Remember, you used to be able to give to Black Lives Matter, BLM, through Act Blue. It was created by the DNC to be their shock troops. This is their constituency. They like the threat of violence on the left. That's not where the American people are. We just want to raise our kids, make a good living, be able to, have a comfortable American life and preserve things like our First Amendment, our free speech, which is under great threat by Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. And also, we want to maintain our Second Amendment. And she has said, yes, we're coming for the guns. Believe who people are by what they say over the decades. This is who she is.
Exactly. So chaos and weakness versus freedom and strength.
Yes. And the chance to experience the American dream. We love America. We want it to be strong, to be proud, to be wealthy, and we want our kids and grandkids to be able to do better than we did. That's the promise of the American dream. That's what President Trump and J.D. Vance offer to every one of your viewers.
Ambassador Carla Sands, thank you so much again for joining us here on Right Side. We'll see you again soon.
Thanks so much, Matthew.
Carla Sands right there, the former ambassador to Denmark, speaking with us earlier today. And she also is a vice chair at the America First Policy Institute, the Pennsylvania chapter. So heading to Philadelphia today for an event with J.D. Vance. Speaking of events with President Trump and the vice presidential nominee, J.D. Vance, all week this week, Right Side Broadcasting Network will be live in various states from here in Pennsylvania, where today in Pennsylvania, where Mike Fortin and Nikki Stanzione will pick up coverage there for that speech, which will start at 3 o'clock there in York, PA. Tomorrow, then, President Trump heads to Michigan. And then on Wednesday, North Carolina. Thursday and Friday is Arizona. And of course, J.D. Vance at various campaign stops with him as well. So once again, Monday is Make America Wealthy Again. Tomorrow, Make America Safe Again. On Wednesday, it's Make America Secure Again. And then on Thursday, Make America so it's Make America Strong Again is Wednesday, Make America Secure Again Thursday, and Make America Great Again is on Friday. So a lot going on this week, of course, as the DNC in Chicago tries to do a fake Democratic National Convention there. I mean, you know, we know what happened in 2020, so now we're getting the second string person that really shouldn't even be in the White House. You know, some say, right? So we know in Pennsylvania, under Harris and Biden, Pennsylvania has seen prices rise by 18.4%. The average Pennsylvania family has to pay $958 more per month because of the higher prices. And speaking of higher prices, some of the inflationary spending that's been done under Harris and Biden since they took office. As you guys know, car insurance up 54%, rent up 22%, hotels up 51%, eating out up 23%, and gas is up 50%. $1.87 was what it was like under the first administration of President Trump. Boy, do we hope that happens again. I mean, think about the American pride and the great feeling we'll have as Americans to have better prices all the way across the board. A secure border, more law and order, right? Our freedoms intact, our country being the leader of the world again, and having the leader of the free world back in his office that is at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. So that's what's at stake, of course, this election coming up in about, 78 days. President Trump leading in polls, interactive polls, Polymarket, Trafalgar Group, Rasmussen in Pennsylvania, Georgia, Wisconsin, Michigan, Nevada, Arizona, and North Carolina. So we see that the polls are in his favor, but also, again, we see the huge crowds at all the events. We see all of the social media posts that are happening. We see all of the conservative media coverage that shows people from all walks of life desiring to have President Trump back in office. It's pretty simple stuff, right? And we saw the amount of people from different countries, different ethnic backgrounds in the Bronx or in Philadelphia or in Atlanta. You know, you think about, years past where all the rallies have been. How many times was it where it was actually in a blue city Democrat stronghold where President Trump would be and the campaign, right, and all the pre-programmed speakers? It's not just President Trump. There's so many people that are following his leadership that are on Team America, on Team Freedom out there. So it's awesome to see it. And that you can't lie about that. You can only see what the truth is about that. So we'll hear more of that at the debates as well, September 10th. I know that the Harris camp and the Trump camp have obviously agreed to a debate that day. September 4th, will that be happening? I know President Trump and his team want that to happen on the 4th, but will Harris and the camp there agree to that? Who knows? I think at the end of the day, what we're looking at is Harris is doing a few interviews now, as we've seen on some of the liberal networks out there, because we've been calling it out in conservative media and all podcasters, all of us. When I say conservative media, I mean everybody, all of us that are on Team Freedom, right? Everybody that's together in this. We've been calling it out. And so she finally did some interviews recently, very short ones, and still they make no sense. And that's the thing. She's going to make no sense out here, and she's going to hide all of the very leftist, extreme liberal views that are radical. She'll keep that to the side and then try and win the White House somehow, and then bring it all to pass, all the deep, dark desires that is part of the leadership right now. And I'm not talking about every Democrat out there. I'm just talking about certain ones. And this one and Tim Walz, we know that what they're trying to drive for our country, and it has nothing to do with the Constitution. So we're hoping to see the right person in the White House come November, and then officially to be sworn in on January 20th, 2025. So back to some more of the scheduling for this week, and then we'll get into some more information that we have here at Right Side. Obviously, a very busy week for President Trump and J.D. Vance. They're going to 4, if not 5, different states, all of them swing states throughout the week. We'll have coverage today, of course, in York, PA. We'll go out to Nikki Stanzione and Mike Fortin, who just off of a great rally the other day in Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, PA, and that was awesome to see them out there with that packed house, that great arena there in Wilkes-Barre. I know that sometimes we were pronouncing it Wilkes-Barre or Wilkes-Barre, but I know that some of the locals there, I'm from Pennsylvania originally, so it is still split between how you pronounce that town, but I definitely did hear Wilkes-Barre a lot too. Anyway, the point is they're live in York, Pennsylvania, so they're doing the tour of the Keystone State as our correspondents on the ground, doing an awesome job here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and President Trump will speak at 3 o'clock. So I did hear that there is a pre-program today as well. So there may be other speakers that will take the podium there at a jobs event, all about jobs. We all have to have a job, right? We want to have a job. We want to make more money, and we want to be taxed less, and we want to afford our groceries, our rent, or our mortgage payments, or airfare, or if you want to take a 3-day vacation, you don't want to have to deal with the prices that we have under the current administration. And then on top of that, we want to be able to speak freely for our country and not be concerned about any censorship, especially if it's just positive, warm-hearted stuff that we're talking about, AKA, hey, I want President Trump in office. That shouldn't be censored. And I know it's not usually censored, just those words, but you get my point. There's been a lot of censorship going on online over the years. I remember speaking with the Patriot Barbie out of Arizona. She's got quite the following, doing great things for a small business. But you know what? She's speaking out like many of you are. And I think more of you will as we hope to see our country get restored. And think about it. Say that happens, which we hope it does, right? And we're praying and working hard for that to happen. Think about then from there, we don't have to talk about such tough issues all the time. We can get back to not having those growing concerns that we have in this country from everything from the First and Second Amendments being stripped. That's what the left literally wants to do. Now, if this was under the Obama or Clinton or other administrations or even George W. Bush, whoever, it wasn't as extreme, right? It just wasn't. Maybe some of them wanted stuff that bad to happen, but the point is, it didn't. This time around, we see that they're showing us the playbook. They're not showing us the whole playbook, but they definitely want it to be a very radically left country. They want it to look like Venezuela. They want it to look like the UK with all the censorship. They literally want that. So that's what we have as the fork in the road coming up November 5th, 2024. We are less than 80 days from the election. So that's what's on tap. My name is Matthew Alvarez. Thank you guys so much for watching here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. If you'd like to follow Right Side, it's at RSBN on Truth Social. If you're on X, just recently, Right Side Broadcasting Network, the RSB Network account just surpassed 1 million followers on X. So if you'd like to follow us on that, we're also on Telegram and Locals and YouTube, but even greater in the sense of conservatives, Rumble. So Rumble is obviously awesome streaming platform, and you can follow our channel on Rumble as well. So our RSBN app and rsbnetwork.com are all places you can see all the news that's happening, all the speeches, all the rallies, all the people being interviewed that you saw just this past couple days out there in Wilkes-Barre with Mike Fortin and Nikki Stanzione interviewing some great people out there and bringing us that live coverage out of the Keystone State. So again, a campaign stop today for President Trump in Pennsylvania, then Michigan tomorrow, Wednesday's North Carolina. Thursday is a border tour on the southern border in Cochise County, Arizona, and then a huge rally on Friday in Glendale, Arizona. The strategy that I see just from a news perspective is quite remarkable for the RNC and for President Trump in the campaign, in my opinion, because they see what's happening on the left with chaos and weakness with the DNC this week. And we know that this is a little bit different than other elections, right? We know that this is a big fork in the road coming up. So to have the themes again this week, just like they did for the RNC, right? To have that again this week for counter programming, but also to wrap it up with a great rally in Arizona on Friday is quite awesome to see just the strategy just from a news perspective. It's pretty cool to see that. And again, think about the great patriots in Arizona. Many of you, any of you watching right now, what time is it out there? It's 10:17 Pacific time. Thank you for watching if you're watching from Arizona right now. But, we think of Andy Biggs and Eli Crane, Paul Gosar, Abe Hamadeh, Kerry Lake, Carolyn Wren. I believe Kelly Walker, who is the comms director for Mike Lindell. So many great people out of the 6th largest state and a huge swing state in this election is Arizona. So that's later this week. We're looking at Thursday and Friday Arizona coverage. We'll have our camera ops and all of our correspondents out there in Arizona to bring you live coverage wall to wall. That's what you get here. That's what you love about Right Side Broadcasting Network, as many of you told us through emails or just responding on the chats or wherever. So that will be the West Coast tour. Right now, it's the Northeast with Pennsylvania, and then President Trump and the team will shift over to the Midwest and Michigan, then down to the South to North Carolina, then out to the West. So a great week on tap for Republicans, a great week on tap for the right, a great week on tap for Team Freedom. And it's always going to be good, too. I mean, think about it. Later tonight, as a news person, I will watch the DNC. I know a lot of you are not going to watch it, and rightly so, but I do want to see the strategy on the left. I want to see what they're saying. And I know that Team Trump and the RNC and others out there, many of you podcasters, many of you that are very well known and have quite the following out there, will be posting about counter rapid response information to correct the narrative, because we know it's just going to be what show out there, begins with an S show. It's just going to be like that all week. Outside that arena, at the United Center in Chicago, it'll be like that, chaos and weakness. And then inside, chaos and weakness, all acting like it's rainbows and butterflies, but it's not. So again, they're going to make it packaged out to be this beautiful thing at the DNC, the lights and the cameras and the great videos and all of that production, and maybe some celebrities and all that, right? All to prop up somebody that hates our country and wants the Constitution to be stripped from the land, right? That's what they want to do on the left, and that's what they're going to do all week, trying to brainwash all of the Americans or anybody that can be duped, right? Acting like this is cool. This is something cool to vote for. And they're going to try and race bait, and they're going to try and do all the gender, whatever. It's a female. Who cares? If Kamala Harris was conservative, Republican, America First, and and she and President Trump were running together, and it was this wonderful thing. I don't care if it's a woman or a man, or if it's a minority or not to this country. I want someone personally, and I know you guys too, agree with that, is you want someone that keeps the law of the land, the Constitution intact. You want this to be the land of the free and the home of the brave. So that's what we want. And so if Harris was that person with President Trump, then great, we would vote for that team. But boy, is that not what's happening. President Trump is that candidate. President Trump is the one that's literally trying to save our country, with so many other MAGA Republicans, which is beautiful. MAGA Republicans are beautiful. Why are they beautiful? Because they have the spirit of America and heart and mind and soul. I've met so many people out there that are good-hearted people, that are Republican, that love President Trump, love God, love freedom, love our land, love the soil of our country. If you've ever taken a trip overseas, it's nice, right? You see Italy or you see Australia or whatever, right? But when you come back to the United States, that's our soil. We have pride for our soil. We have pride for this country. And I believe there are Democrats that do as well. Democrats, a lot of the people love our country as well. However, unfortunately, the leadership of the Democrat Party is trying to have mass control instead of mass freedom for this nation. So this isn't about separating Republicans and Democrats of we the people. I'd rather, personally would rather have us as a united nation, and not the United Nations, but United Nation, the United States of America. So President Trump, as Lynn Patton, the senior advisor, said, President Trump is running to be president of all of America, of everybody in this country. So that's what we hopefully will see coming up with a win in November. And then January 20th, 2025, the great inauguration of President Trump. And then if you fast forward to 2026, the 250th celebration, the anniversary of our country, 250 years old. And then at the Iowa State Fairgrounds, having a huge celebration under President Trump. So I'm getting ahead of ourselves here, I know, but let's bring it back to right here in 2024. So again, President Trump speaking at 3 o'clock. It says 2 o'clock now. Okay, so 2 o'clock speakers will give remarks at 2 o'clock. And then an hour later, President Trump slated to speak. So very busy week for the Trump campaign. If you're just joining us, we had an interview with Tony Piggott of the RNC. He is the Strategic Communications Director. We're going to go to that interview again real quick here, and then we'll join you right after that interview right now. Joining us here at Right Side.
Of course, thanks for having me on.
So it looks like it's RNC round 2 this week. It's a lot of themes that were similar, but it's always good to have counter programming to the DNC, isn't it?
Yeah, well, ultimately, it's round 2 because we have the truth on our side, the Democrats don't. So they're going to try to go out there and say, the economy's great, our standing on the world has improved, the border's secure. We know on all of those issues and more, the exact opposite is true. We went from the most secure border in American history to the worst border crisis in American history. We went from a booming economy to an economy in disaster under Kamala Harris. We went from historic peace agreements in the Middle East being signed under President Trump to a world in chaos under Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. So it's a bit like counter-programming, but ultimately we have the truth on our side. On the Republican side, President Trump has the vision to make America great again, and Democrats have the same old tried and failed policies.
And it reminds me what you were just saying there. It's fight versus fake. Am I not right?
That's 100% true. And the facts back that up. President Trump has been fighting for America from the day he stepped down the escalator. Even before that, he's been fighting to make sure the forgotten men and women of this country are forgotten no longer. Versus Kamala Harris, who is dishonestly trying to say she's a new figure on the political scene. Nothing could be farther from the truth. She was the deciding vote for the inflationary spending that increased costs. She was the border czar during the worst border crisis in U.S. history. She said she was the last person in the room for the decision on that disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal, one of the worst moments in our country's history and the worst foreign policy disaster in a generation. She was the last person in the room for that. So ultimately, Kamala Harris has a failed record, and she wants to go even farther left.
Exactly, and then we see that in her pick in Tim Walz. It kind of reveals where her heart, her mind, her direction she wants to take the country. Can you believe it that they want to go that far left?
I mean, this is the farthest left ticket ever in history to be put up on the national level. And there's no dispute on that. Kamala Harris, as her first major economic proposal, introduced Soviet-style price controls. And that's the liberal Washington Post calling it that. Not even just the Trump campaign and RNC. The liberal Washington Post has conceded that Kamala Harris has Soviet-style price controls. She wants to add bread lines and shortages to her record of fueling inflation. That's what Kamala Harris wants to do. And you're exactly right to say that Tim Walz has such a dangerously liberal record that for all of Kamala's effort to erase her record from the internet, Tim Walz, the pick of Tim Walz, makes the argument for us about how far left she is because she picks someone with just as dangerously liberal a record as she has.
And I know that you also worked at the RNC as a rapid response director in your time there. Can you talk to us about that? Let's get a little bit deeper in the sense of it seems like their strategy is don't expose or don't show too much of really what they're about when they're out there doing speeches. I'm talking about the left wing there.
Well, we have a world-class rapid response operation, a world-class digital operation. And part of what we're doing at the RNC and Trump campaign is really showing those receipts because these far left comments that Kamala Harris has said are all on tape. So making sure we have the facts at our disposal to share with people across all different media platforms is part of that strategy. Kamala Harris has yet to publicly disavow any of the far left comments she made during the 2019 presidential race, whether that was adopting the Green New Deal, abolishing ICE, decriminalizing illegal border crossings. She has the farthest left record of any presidential nominee in history. She has yet to publicly disavow that, and we have the rapid response operation to expose that.
And why is it very, very important to show the people of this country that truth? Why is it important to keep that out there?
Because the mainstream fake news media is not going to do that. They're refusing to hold her accountable. They're refusing. We're trying to do on social media and other platforms is cut through the fake news, making sure people have those facts, those figures at their fingertips, and also showing, like you said, just how fake this all of a sudden revelation from Kamala Harris is that she's some new figure. She's not a new figure. She's the farthest left presidential nominee in the history of this country. And we're going to have those receipts. The American people are going to see them, or they're going to make their own judgment based off the facts that we're presenting to them. And
then you personally, Tommy, what is it like to be able to be in a position that you have there at the RNC to help the everyday Americans, we the people, our country, and our Constitution?
Well, it's really an honor. It's really an honor and a privilege to be part of this movement to save America, to be helping President Trump in what capacity I can to make sure he's getting his message out there. But President Trump is the best messenger for his vision. It really is an honor to try to help save this country with President Trump. Under President Trump's leadership, the RNC and Trump campaign are more motivated than ever. Our party is more united than ever under President Trump's leadership. And we really need to save this country. We need people to get involved at TrumpForce47.com. It's an honor to be part of that movement.
All right, Tommy Pigott with the Republican National Committee. Sir, thank you so much. Hope to see you again soon.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, so we're about to send it out to York, Pennsylvania with Mike Fortin and Nikki Stanzione, who will be joining us live any second from now in York, kicking off a very busy week in politics, one of the most busy weeks I've seen in quite some time. The 24/7 news cycle, of course, in overdrive right now, both with the Republicans and the Democrats. But unfortunately, this time around, what we're seeing is a lot more lying than ever before on the left. So you're going to hear a lot of lies this week, Monday through Thursday there. But of course, with the Republicans, you're seeing a lot of common sense and truth as to how terrible the country is right now and what we want to see happen come November into January and for the next 4 years and hopefully beyond. Part of that is within that 20 GOP platform promises that are found anywhere if you search for it on DuckDuckGo or if you want to use Google, that kind of thing. You can just look for those 20 GOP platform promises to see what President Trump under a new administration would look like, and all of it is common sense and truth. So nothing to be duped there because, again, actions speak louder than words. We know that. But the actions that happened for the first Trump administration were all positive, good, moving forward things for this country. So more of the same and then plus even better come a second term for President Trump. Let's thank our friends at mypillow.com, of course, Mike Lindell, the great Mike Lindell, pushing at least almost 1 million followers on Truth Social at this point. So let's get Mike up there. And also with Right Side Broadcasting Network, we're pushing up towards of 700,000. So always good to see a lot of truth on these platforms. But 80% off That's quite the percentage if you use the RSBN promo code there. So we're talking this new mattress topper as well that I think my wife and I would like to have is, it's just more comfort. Who doesn't want that, especially for a good night's rest? The pillows are great. There are also a lot of savings with RSBN's promo code there. So just use that promo code RSBN. We also are seeing a number of other items, whether it's slides or the sandals or the slippers. There's so many great products on there. We definitely have at the front door of our house, there's the closet right there. We've got all of them stacked in there. The slippers, the slides, all that stuff. So great products with Mike Lindell. All you have to do is go to Mike Lindell's website, mypillow.com/RSBN for that huge discount. What a great photo that is of Mike there at the Mount Rushmore with Mike with the flag there. It's just a great photo. And as Paul Ingrassia said one day, a couple times actually right here on this network, that President Trump should have his face up on Mount Rushmore. I know that a lot of you agree with that. I think that would be awesome to see that, especially after a huge win in November moving forward for our country. So again, mypillow.com/RSBN. So at 2 o'clock, about 29 minutes from now on the East Coast there will be the pre-program, and there will be a number of speakers that will take to the podium. And then, of course, I know that says York, PA up there. Obviously, it's Auburn, Alabama. We'll be going to York here in a second. 3 o'clock, President Trump will be speaking as well out there. And we have Mike Fortin and Nikki Stanzione, who were just in Wilkes-Barre, Scranton for that huge rally. What a packed house that was. And so we'll be going back out there live. As soon as I hear from our directors, we'll go there to York County, Pennsylvania. Again, this is all about the economy and jobs, and a kind of a press conference in a way, but also a speech there by President Trump. So we'll be going there in about 30 seconds to Pennsylvania, the Keystone State. 19 electoral votes up for grabs there. Obviously, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, State College, pretty much blue strongholds, but a lot of red starting to go through some of those areas in the sense of voters, as you've seen in Philly, parts of State College, and in Pittsburgh. So there's Mike Fortin right now, and we'll be going there live to York, Pennsylvania. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Guys, we'll see you in a bit.
Good afternoon and welcome to York, Pennsylvania, where we are expecting Donald Trump to arrive at 3 p.m. to deliver remarks on the economy and how this is affecting you as Americans in our everyday lives. We are at Precision Custom Components. They are a defense manufacturer. They manufacture critical requirements and items for the defense, nuclear, and process industries. And this is an old school factory here in York, PA, which is rich in history with manufacturing. Just down the road, there is a Harley-Davidson manufacturer that is manufacturing their bikes here in the United States. A lot of hardworking Americans here. This is what it's all about. This is where the people are being hit and affected the most here in Middle America. We're just off the heels of the Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania Trump rally that was just filled with excitement, packed to the gills, wall-to-wall people. This is a much smaller event. We're expecting maybe about 1,000 people here today in this manufacturing plant. It's a working manufacturing plant, so just off the other side there are people working. But the crowds outside, we're unable to get you the interviews that you're used to because of tight security measures and obviously a very small venue. But we welcome you here. Again, President Trump set to speak at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Some of the things that we can expect to hear and the remarks that we're going to hear from President Trump, just our economy, how it's been affecting, and you guys that follow RSBN have been hearing how it's affecting Americans every day. And we want to make sure that we can continue to bring this to you here on RSBN, your 2024 election headquarters. We're working hard every day, trying to get out to all the rallies. Everywhere where President Trump is, we will be, and we don't want you to miss a thing. Make sure to like and subscribe to all of our social media channels. And while you're at it, tell a friend. Share our content. Let them know what's going on. If you want to get involved, this is a great way to do it and a great way to stay up to date on everything that's happening with President Donald J. Trump. You can subscribe to our newsletter. It's rsbnetwork.com/newsletter. So check that out. You can get every day everything that's going on as we are out here on the campaign trail with President Trump and Senator J.D. Vance. Lastly, if you like our content, please consider donating at rsbnetwork.com/donate. That is the number one thing. You, the subscribers, you, the viewers, are the ones who make this happen. We love our advertisers, but we do this for you guys. We want to bring you the very best every day and all the content that we can. So definitely like and subscribe. Donate where you can. It doesn't matter how much, how little. Obviously, we know, talking about the economy, how important money is to Americans and how little Americans have. So anything that you can to assist us to continue to bring this content to you live from every Trump rally across the country, we certainly appreciate it. You can text RSBN to 801-801. Again, that's RSBN to 801-801. We thank you very much for supporting us and our mission here to bring you the very best coverage of President Donald J. Trump during this extremely important 2024 election. As you know, this week, the DNC is set to kick off today, and Chicago is looking like a war zone. I'm guessing Beirut was not available for their event, but Chicago is, and local businesses there are being affected like you would not believe. Just seeing some of the coverage here while we were waiting outside in the downpour, the coverage there is showing hundreds of thousands of pro-Palestinian protesters that are taking over the city. The law enforcement there, Chicago PD, is taxed. They have nowhere near the amount of people that they need to be able to make sure that they're covered and to keep the city safe. In addition to more radical things at the DNC, it's really just one of those things to think about that makes you shake your head. There is a mobile abortion and vasectomy clinic as we speak that is handing out abortion medication. So not only can you go and watch the DNC, you can have an abortion during the DNC. So obviously just a very radical left, very strange thing. This is something that they're promoting in order to get more people there. And I saw earlier on Fox News that every appointment they had is taken already for the remainder of the week. So truly just a strange, weird thing to help promote the DNC, to be able to show up at a political event and have an abortion on site. Truly radical, truly shocking. Here around Pennsylvania, what we've seen is just Trump signs. Everywhere we look, as we drove around this neighborhood yesterday and today, Trump signs are everywhere, outnumbering any Biden-Harris signs that we've seen, any Harris-Walz signs that we've seen, 50-1. So really strong support for President Donald J. Trump here in Pennsylvania, one of the battleground states where truly it's important to get out and vote. You should definitely be looking at voting as soon as you can. Obviously, we've mentioned this before with us out on the road. It's important and imperative to get out and vote early. Pennsylvania is one of those states that offers early voting up to 50 days. So we are 78 days out from the election. Do your best. You can also join protectthevote.com and Trump Force 47, where you can become a Trump captain, help get out in your community, help get the word out in your community. We've been told that the last election, almost 20% of Republicans did not vote. So up to 20% of Republicans did not vote. This is your chance to get your family, your friends, your neighborhood out to vote. I'd definitely like to thank our sponsors. As you know, we are very, very gracious for our sponsors and all that they do for us, and they assist you guys in helping keep us out here. The Wellness Company. America, listen up. The world is getting more unpredictable by the day. We've got assassination attempts, rumors of civil wars, which, who knows which way this election is going to go. Be ready for anything. An unstable stock market, and now the looming threat of bird flu. It's a real thing. Look it up. Google it. If Google's not hiding the results there. But bird flu is one of those things that, it's coming at one of those times where we're getting close to the election, so pretty precarious. Did you know that WHO has announced an actual bird flu summit in October? It's eerily reminiscent of Event 201 that foreshadowed the COVID pandemic. And get this, the first topic on the agenda is a mass fatality management planning event. If that doesn't send chills down your spine, I don't know what will. But here's the good news. You don't need to be scared if you're prepared. The wellness company created a contagion emergency kit, and every home in America should have at least one of these. I know I ordered one recently, so we'll definitely be having one. They're packed with life-saving meds, ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, all the things that they told us not to take are fully packed in here. Antibiotics like Z-Paks, and these are all backed by doctors that we all know and love. Peter McCullough, Dr. Drew Pinsky, recognized names. Imagine this, no more frantic searches for a doctor, no more emergency rooms, no more insane having to go to your doctor, ask for Z-Paks, which it just becomes a whole thing. You don't have to go to the pharmacy. Just a few clicks, there's no waiting, and again, you get it delivered right to your door. You don't have to go anywhere, you'll have it if you need it. In times like these, having your emergency contagion kit, it's not just a luxury, it's a necessity. Protect yourself and your family by preparing now. Visit twc.health/RSBN and use code RSBN to save you $45 at checkout. Unfortunately, for all of our international viewers, these kits are only available here in the USA. Thank you to the Wellness Company. We certainly appreciate it. Definitely check them out. Take the time to check out all of our sponsors. I know we mention them a lot. We get a lot of comments about it, but without them, this wouldn't be possible. So at least take the time, give them a look, take a look at their websites, get the information, send a text just to get some information. Sorry about that. We're getting some messages from the press from the voice of God here. But again, here in York, Pennsylvania, waiting for President Trump to be speaking at 3 p.m. Getting back to the DNC taking place in Chicago this week, it really is just atrocious to see that their Democratic mayor is inviting these people to come in and disrupt this event. We are unsure what's going to happen, but there is certainly the promise of violence. Nothing like this we've seen at the Republican National Convention. So just a very big difference between both sides, as you know. This is a party here. The Republican Party is a party of unity. It's a party of love. We see that all the time at these events that we bring to you live, that only RSBN brings to you, and no one can bring it to you like we do. So you see the stark contrast between what the Republican Party is bringing to the table and what the DNC. They are inviting violence. They are inviting just a complete disregard for the law. Our law enforcement officers that are out there putting their lives on the line, their families that they want to go home to, and this is what's being invited into cities and into making it a political issue. Unfortunately, this is the world we now live in, and this is a very good reminder as to why you need Donald J. Trump as president this upcoming election. So make sure, again, I can't stress it enough, get out and vote. It's extremely, extremely important. This is the election of a lifetime. It's something that nobody should sit out. If this is your first time to vote, get out and do it. It doesn't matter. This is the one where everyone should take their time. Stand in the lines. If you visited the rallies, you know what we're up against in the rallies. It's always a fun time. Meet those same people at the election, at the polls, and get out there and vote early if you can. We cannot stress this enough. It's one of the things that the Trump campaign has mentioned to us as well. They really want to get people out there voting early. What else we have to talk about now is, obviously President Trump is going to be delivering remarks on the economy. I'm here with Nikki Stanzione as well. She's going to be coming here in just a moment and giving you guys some remarks as well. Excuse me one second here. Nikki, do you want to step in here for a moment? I've kind of lost all my points here.
Sure, no problem at all.
Nikki's going to come on in and help us out here. We've got an extremely crowded media riser here where it's just absolutely packed. We have inches to move here. Nikki, I'm going to turn it over to you, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Thanks so much, Mike. So good to see all of you guys today. This is a really special moment in time because as we continue to see what's going on at the DNC, as Mike said, the head story is, of course, the protest, the danger in the city. It's certainly not something we want to see for any convention or for anybody or any party. Of course, that's the last thing we want is violence or any kind of unrest in our cities. And that's unfortunately the the lead story going on at the DNC right now, in addition to, as Mike said, the clinics that are offering abortions and vasectomies. So listen, you have to really take a moment and think about what matters the most to you in this very contentious election season. And here, let's talk a little bit about what happened under President Trump and what we're really going to address a little bit today, including the fact that it took about 70 years for us to be able to maintain and be able to get energy independence in this nation. And thanks to a presidency under President Trump, that's what we had. In fact, we were just on the verge of global domination in energy. That was something that was literally on the verge as soon as the 2020 election happened. And then things changed. Of course, when we had that energy independence, we were looking at saving about $2,500 a year under President Trump. This is something that I know affects all families. You know, some of the subjects that we talk about affect some of us and not all of us, but this affects every single one of us. And when we think about those topics that matter to each and every one of us, each and every family, each and every generation, we have to consider these choices really getting away from feelings and just emotions. We have to get down to the brass taxes. And this is really important, friends, because when you think about getting and regaining that energy independence and then taking it to the level of global dominance, it means we don't have to rely on people around the world for our energy. We rely on ourselves, and then they come to us. And what does that do? That in turn not only keeps our prices down, but it also allows our economy to build. And that is really what today is about. And that is something that I know President Trump is going to focus on in his conversation with all of us today. Hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to him. I don't know if you guys can see. So we're on this riser, super duper crowded. That's why we have to switch off. I'm a little shrimp, and Mike's a big guy, right? So we're switching off a little bit. But you can see right behind me is where it says Trump Vans. That podium is where President Trump will be standing. He's just a couple feet away from me. So I'm hoping to get a question. And if we don't, we're certainly going to at least get a very good view. We've got some onlookers and some people here in the industry. And I will tell you this, when you're in a place like this, in a warehouse, like we are now in Precision Custom Components, we get a chance to see the ground floor. We get a chance to see what's happening in the real world right now. And when we talk about that global domination of energy, that is absolutely going to be a number one issue in this election. And it's something I really want to implore you to think about as you make your decisions. Let's talk a little bit inflation. Let's talk a little bit about some specific statistics, because this is really important. Inflation since the Biden-Harris administration got started has been up about 20.2%. So you're talking about a massive change in our day-to-day cost of life, right? So that's one statistic that I think most of us have seen and have lived. And again, I always say this every broadcast. I say to you, don't just think about what the press, including myself, tells you to believe or tells you should think, or what narratives or sound bites you hear. Think about the life you actually live. And as you think about that life and you look at your bills and you look at your bank accounts and your credit card and your interest payments, your energy bills, your electric bills, your utility bills, your water bills, think about those things. What happens when you go to the gas pump? I will tell you this. Under President Trump, we were as low as $1.87 on average in the country. Now we are looking at an average of, I believe it's up to about $3.45, if I'm not mistaken, about $3.45, if not higher in many cities. We are up about 50% on a national average in gas prices. Again, not something that just affects a portion of America, not just a subject that affects a certain group of Americans. It's something that affects all of us. And that is why I'm so emphatic about asking you to do your research. And I'll share as many information bites as I can. I'm going to give you as much education as I can whenever I'm on air with you, so that you're really well informed. And when you get those naysayers battling you saying, oh, I don't want to, whatever they say, that was a funny impression. But you get my point. When people come to you with a battle and they say, but I don't want Trump, this will happen, I want you to go back, take notes of the things we talk about and say, well, here are a few things that will happen. Here are a few things that will make a difference in your family's life. Think about that before you vote on emotion or on narrative, right? So here's a couple other statistics. I think it's important that you have these, friends. So on a year-over-year basis, inflation under Harris and Biden has an average of 5.3%. That is, again, roughly double the level of inflation that we've seen under any administration ever. Okay, this is super important. Another one that's a big one, and for me being a Jersey girl living in New Jersey, this one's huge. it's gotten even worse for us in our state. I don't know about every other state, but on an average, on a national average, car insurance has increased by over 54%. I will tell you, it's 54.3% to be exact. So under Harris and Biden, you are thinking about stinging the 92% of American families who have to have insurance to drive a car. Just let that resonate. Let that sink in for a minute and really think about the ramifications of such an administration to continue on or to become the next administration in our country. Think about the differences. You know, real wages also remain a lot lower under Harris and Biden, and that's a big one as well. Real wages. You know, you hear about the fact they'll often say, "Oh well, we've increased the jobs. We've increased jobs." Remember something. We had incredible job numbers under President Trump until COVID hit, which affected the entire world. And whether it was Biden and Harris or whether it was President Trump, anybody would have been affected by that. But he brought back the economy quicker than any other nation. And that's something you have to consider as well. We are looking at an adjustment of 3.9% pay cut under Harris and Biden. And under President Trump, real average weekly wages rose 8.2%. Don't you want to see that again? Listen, I know I do. Let me first talk to you a little bit about something when it comes to taxes as well, because, you know, taxes is a big deal, but even more so, we have to think about how are we going to diversify our savings? How are we going to diversify this money that I'm speaking of, right? And one of the ways, if you follow us here on RSBN, you know that we're very proud of our sponsor, Birch Gold Group. Birch Gold Group is going to be your answer in these crazy times to have the peace of mind in security. Everything, friends. It really is. Security for our country, security for our families, security for our leaders. And so I want you to think about the fact that if you have all your eggs in one basket, you cannot diversify and you cannot figure out how to compound, right? So it's really important that you're able to do that. And through our friends at Birch Gold Group, you'll be able to do that by getting your own physical gold. Can you imagine? Isn't that, you know, it's something that seems so simple, and yet a lot of us don't realize that it's a possibility. So through the friends at Birch Gold Group, you can actually get that actual physical gold and silver as well in a tax-sheltered retirement account. And this is something that you can actually do today. You don't have to wait for things to get better or worse. You just text the word Trump to 989898. Again, it's Trump to 989898. And in August only, this is great, and this is only for 2 more weeks, really. In August only, on any gold purchase, you will also receive a brand new silver coin that is historical. It is going to be a collectible piece. And what it does is it depicts President Trump in that moment of battle when he fought for all of us after the attempted assassination on his life in Butler, Pennsylvania on July 13th. So here's your way to have something very collectible and special as well. And of course, you are going to not have to miss your chance to be a part of history with these precious metals. So secure your savings today. Get your free Trump silver coins. And again, that is just so simple to do. You just text Trump to 989898. Now, going back to the conversation I was having with you about inflation, because I think, you know, today we're going to hear so much about energy. We're going to hear so much about what's happening with our energy resources. And when we have a lack of resources, and it comes down to the whole law of supply and demand. You know, I've worked in home shopping in most of my career as well, and I often talk about it. When the demand is high and the supply is low, the costs go up. Right now, we are in demand for more energy. We're in demand for better pricing. We're in demand for the energy that this country needs to sustain itself financially. And when that energy is in low supply and the demand is as high as it is, the prices are going to rise. That's just the law of supply and demand. It's a basic common sense logic. But there are ways to fix that. And President Trump knows the way. Listen, drill, baby, drill has been his number one incentive, along with securing our border and keeping us crime-free. And so when you consider these initiatives, recognize how important it is to vote on your wallet, to vote on your lifestyle, to vote on the things that you live, right? So here's something else I want to talk a little bit about. And this is really, really important. When we see our finances being decimated, literally suffering from the lasting effects of, you know, Kamalanomics, if you will, because it is now Kamalanomics. This is a woman who was very, very excited and positive about what was happening in our economy over the last few years. You've heard her say many times, getting on the world stage, Bidenomics is working. It's working, everybody. And then weeks later, when she became the candidate, she's telling you all of a sudden the things we know to be true, which is that inflation is up, grocery prices are too high, gas prices are too high, electric bills are too high. We're hearing all of it from her now as she's campaigning to get your vote. But what have we lived? And why is she promising to do things on day one when day one was 3.5 years ago? Day one is not in January. Day one is now. She is the vice president of America. And as the vice president, as the second in command, as the last one in the room, she has the ability and the right to make these changes now that are affecting each and every one of us, the changes that she says we need, the changes that she says we're being affected by. And this is not a personal attack. This is the facts. This is something that we live every single day, and we need to address the facts and the truth. And that's why I'm so proud to be able to share this platform and talk to all of you, not from a place of a swayed opinion, but from a place of reading the truth, reading the facts, reading the evidence. Here's something that's interesting. In 2021, Harris, Biden, and the Democrats passed the inflation-fueling $1.9 trillion stimulus act. Do you remember this? This even the liberal economists admit is what would fuel inflation. We've heard it from everybody. So when you think about a proposed $7.3 trillion budget, that is wasteful spending, and it can be used to help the American people instead. We don't want to kill American energy. And for all of you and all of those out there, and there's many of them are standing right next to me right now, who are saying, Harris doesn't want fracking. Harris doesn't want fracking. I urge you to go back and watch her entire campaign where she actually did lay out policy and went through a primary that she did not win. When she went through that primary in 2020, she was adamant about fracking. And she was absolutely emphatic about the fact that she did not want fracking in America. Now we're seeing the flip-flop. Do you want a leader who is going to be flip-flopping, or do you want a leader who is consistent? As far as I'm concerned, anybody that leads me, whether it's a boss, whether it's a friend, a significant other, a partner in life, in relationships, a parent, a teacher, I just want consistency, because that lends itself to authenticity. And without consistency and authenticity, it's hard to know what to believe. And you have to believe your own life and not the lies. Your life, not the lies. So, I mean, that's my advice. Take it or leave it, but I think it's really important to recognize. I also hope that everybody is following RSBN. You can interact in the live chat, of course, on YouTube. You can also interact in the live chat by subscribing to the RSBN page with Rumble. And I certainly also urge you to go to True Social and all the social platforms and to rsbnetwork.com and be able to check out all the things that we offer. I do want to just remind you also about one more of our incredible sponsors, which is the Tax Network. And if you are struggling right now with back taxes, we just talked a lot about what's happening with inflation. If you're struggling with those back taxes and returns, the IRS is coming after you. I mean, it's a fact. It's not a good one, but it's a fact. It's the way our life lives. And we don't want to let the IRS take advantage of any of us ever. So with over 14 years of experience, Tax Network USA is going to be able to save their clients over $1 billion in back taxes. So no matter what the size of your tax issues, no matter what, the expertise that they have is your advantage, and they can negotiate on your behalf. And Tax Network USA does not just negotiate, they're also going to protect your assets from any IRS seizures, which is very important, and also manage your yearly returns, and they're licensed to help. So no matter where you live in the USA, they're licensed to help you. The clock is ticking. You don't want to wait. You don't want to let the IRS take control over you. Just call 1-800-357-1415. Again, that's 1-800-357-1415, and you can visit tnusa.com/RSBN, and then you don't have to let those tax issues overpower you. So I hope that some of the things I said helped you a little bit to get an insight as to some of the things that President Trump's going to lay out today insofar as energy and the difference between drilling, the difference between utilizing our resources, and how he can give us the opportunity to once again be global dominating, not even just independent on the global stage, but dominating. That's what we need to see. We cannot allow what's going on to continue. I know Mike wants to step in. We're gonna switch over. I know it's very, very tight, guys, and I'm like half his size, so I'm gonna shrimp on over here.
All right, thank you, Nikki. All right, so the crowd is really starting to fill in here. We are awaiting President Trump's arrival at 3 p.m. And I'll tell you, if you've enjoyed the last almost 4 years, I can't imagine another 4 years under this regime of Harris, Walz, the radical policies. It's nonsensical insanity. And, what we're seeing here is now Kamala Harris is paralleling Donald Trump's policies. Everything that Donald Trump is saying, we're now hearing out of the Harris campaign, which, again, we just got to see, if you had the chance to see it, her first pseudo interview with reporters yesterday on the campaign trail while she was on her way on a bus tour here through the state of Pennsylvania on her way to the DNC. And that interview went about as well as you might expect. A lot of word salad, nothing of substance when asked about the economy, when asked about this $25,000 that she was looking to give first-time home buyers. The problem with the $25,000 that they want to give first-time home buyers is obviously coming from the government. It's going to be government subsidized. So when those default, that property that you're purchasing is automatically going to default back to the government, which is not a good thing. We don't want government-owned properties. And this entire campaign, the entire Harris campaign, has been built on nothing but smoke, mirrors, and quite a bit more smoke. She's definitely blurred her political standing, her political ideologies from 2020 until now, and we've seen just radical changes back and forth. Unfortunately, the things that she said have been so radical in the past, to think that in just a few short years, those policies have completely changed and her ideology has completely changed. And even with the immigration policies that we've seen over the past 3.5 years, it's impossible, in my opinion, to change what your thoughts are and what it's going to be going forward. So it seems as though everything that Kamala Harris is putting forth as policy and as her ideas are coming straight from the Trump campaign in an attempt to simply, in a sense, take votes away so that people don't think she's as radical as she is. But I don't believe she's fooling anyone trying to pull the wool over the American people's eyes. Nobody can tell where she truly stands at this point, because it's one thing after another. It's been a constant 3.5 years. We've seen inflation at an all-time high, which President Trump is going to be speaking about today. But just the policies and the radical policies are just something that as Americans really should just not be a surprise anymore. And to think that going into the next 4 years that we're not going to see, especially with someone like Tim Walz and what he's put forth, how he's attacked President Trump on COVID and the misinformation that they're putting out there. We know that more people died under the Biden-Harris administration. That's a fact. The numbers do not lie. It's an absolute fact, and trying to blame President Trump for all that he did with Operation Warp Speed and getting these vaccines out to the American people, regardless of what you feel and whether you took the vaccine or not. He did his best based on the information or misinformation from Dr. Anthony Fauci that he was given. So obviously, President Trump put everything he could into getting America back and running again as quickly as he possibly could, only to now being attacked by the Harris campaign on something from so long ago that we know we recovered greatly from under President Trump, and then we saw a very sharp decline right away under the Biden-Harris campaign. With illegal immigration, we know that President Trump is going to be visiting the border this week and going to be speaking more on that. We have a former president, who obviously cares enough to go to the border. We have a border czar that has never been to the border. So it goes to tell you where President Trump is in protecting this country and making sure that the American citizens are protected, that we know and we can track where are these illegal immigrants can. And this mass deportation, the Trump mass deportation event that we hope to take place here as quickly as January, is something that can happen because American people are simply worried. As a father, as a husband, I'm worried about my wife, I'm worried about my children when they're out by themselves, and I know that I don't want anything coming, their way that I'm not able to protect them from. So the fact that they're going out, and I know this is something that affects many Americans and obviously women and men alike, it's a scary time. We want to protect our people. We want to protect those that we love, our neighbors, our family, our friends. And again, a message that President Trump delivers each and every rally. these rallies, these events, as I quickly look around here, they're packed. We have people and patriots and Americans here who want to make America great again. That's their only goal, and it's why they come out and they support President Trump. It's a very hot day here. It's a very humid day here in Pennsylvania, in York, Pennsylvania. So one of the reasons I had to step away earlier is I was not feeling very good and kind of lost my way just a little bit. But again, a very hot day here in Pennsylvania as we await the arrival of President Donald J. Trump in about 1 hour. With Kamalanomics, if you wish, Kamalanomics is something that we just can't afford. She's not able to explain what she wants to do and how she wants to do it. She's putting forth ideas. J.D. Vance's child tax credit of $5,000. Kamala basically took the exact same idea and made it $6,000 in an attempt to make it her own. However, when asked about that, she's not able to give any actual information on the policy itself and what the clear and concise explanations that J.D. Vance is able to give. It just becomes a runaround, just a word salad, if you will. It's just simply the best way to describe it. I know I've said that many times, but it's truly just what comes out. There's no way to understand it. She's extremely radical, and she now wants everyone to believe that she's somehow reformed into some middle moderate Democrat, which is simply not the case, and it's a wolf in sheep's clothing kind of scenario where we know that whatever she says, it simply can't be trusted. What we do know about President Trump is whatever President Trump has said in the past, he's done and or worked extremely hard to get done, even though being attacked from the left with Democrats doing their best to stay in their lane and not help advance President Trump's agenda. Again, President Trump set to speak here in York, PA at 3 p.m. And we are at a defense contract manufacturer here. An amazing facility here. It's probably, I would say, at least 100 years old. It's magnificent. This is the way America was built years and years ago. I wish I could show you more, but it's just it's a sight to see. Just an old factory, very large, huge ceilings. As we continue, I see the crowds continuing to fill in. This is the way machining and factory were years and years ago. And so President Trump, again, wants to bring more of these manufacturing jobs back to America. And this precision parts company here making parts for nuclear warheads, for nuclear submarines, for aircraft carriers, nuclear-powered aircraft carriers. So a lot of the things here are helping our men and women in the armed forces and to be able to keep our country safe. Again, I want to remind you guys, we can't do this without you. RSBN is 100% for you. You won't get what we have to offer anywhere else. We are the #1 online media outlet for Donald Trump to be able to show you what's truly going on at these rallies each and every day. President Trump has a packed schedule, speaking somewhere every day in this country for the next 5 days at least. We've heard Las Vegas, Phoenix, Tucson, not Phoenix, Glendale, Arizona, North Carolina, Asheville, North Carolina, here in York, PA today. Just an incredible schedule, the stamina of this man, just to continue to try and bring his message to the American people. Still waiting to see what the DNC is going to look like. And see what their plan is for the border disaster. As I mentioned, President Trump going to Tucson, Arizona to talk more about the border and what he plans to do in order to bring a little bit of order back to the border, close our borders, and make America safe again. Each day this week, President Trump has a new theme. Today, it's about the economy. And I'm going to take a minute. I'm going to step away from the camera here for just a moment as we can give you a little bit of insight as to what's going on here in the manufacturing facility where we are. As we have some people stepping to the podium just now for some remarks.
Yes.
Good afternoon.
and welcome to Precision Custom Components, LLC. Wow, what an opportunity for us and our employees to experience former President Trump at our facility. My name is Jennifer Butler. I'm the General Manager here at Precision Custom Components, and I welcome each of you here. PCC has a long-standing history as a large-scale, discrete manufacturer within the York City limits. We were founded in 1876 by S. Morgan Smith. The origins of the company stem from hydropower, as S. Morgan Smith patented his turbine water wheel design. In the early 1900s, components were manufactured in the facility to serve hydropower stations all across the United States, including the Hoover Dam. As the company started to grow, so did the city of York, coming all around the plant. As technology advanced into the 1950s, the company supported building equipment for the Shippingport Atomic Power Station along the Ohio River, which was the first commercial nuclear power electric generating station in the United States. From the 1960s through the 1990s, PCC was selected as one of the 2 manufacturing facilities in the United States by Admiral Rickover of the U.S. Navy to manufacture reactor vessels and internals for the nuclear-powered submarine program. PCC's foundation of our culture to keep our country safe is rooted in this time period of the business. When the Seawolf-class submarine program was canceled in the early 1990s, it created a catastrophic downturn for the company during a depressed time for discrete heavy manufacturers in the United States. A true testament to the character of our employees here at PCC, this company persevered through these challenging times by building first-of-the-kind components for our national labs that include components in the tokamak fusion reactor at Princeton and the fusion containment vessels in Los Alamos National Lab. Today, PCC is identified as one of the key suppliers in the defense industrial base manufacturing critical complex components for the United States Navy, Virginia, and Columbia-class submarines.
Good afternoon. Ooh, that was loud, right? You don't do this every day. This is something new. My name is Brett Butler. I'm Chief Operating Officer here at Precision Custom Components, LLC. Since 2018, PCC has increased employment by over 40% in response to the growing demand of our defense shipbuilding industry. As former President Trump amplifies the need to stop outsourcing and turn the United States into a manufacturing superpower, we are staged to make that a reality. We are very proud of all of our skilled workers that made the hard look easy every day. But we need more. The next generation of makers are on their way, and as a country, we have to accelerate that process. South Central Pennsylvania is fortunate to have a strong and flourishing manufacturers association. Under the exceptional leadership of Executive Director Tom Pallison and the amazing team of the association, we're providing state-of-the-art training for apprentices starting their careers in manufacturing and helping companies develop their dedicated employees. PCC has the honor of being a critical supplier for the defense industrial base. The parts manufactured in this facility every day are required to keep the world safe. The United States must remain proactive in keeping peace at home and abroad. Former President Trump has made it clear we must prevent World War III. And as a country, we should remain committed to rebuilding our submarine industrial base to sustain this objective. As we protect today, what does tomorrow have in store? PCC is poised to play an integral role in shaping the future of energy. The prospect of small modular nuclear reactors could change the landscape for clean energy. Former President Trump has emphasized how America must become a dominant energy producer. PCC has been a subject matter expert to those companies validating their manufacturability designs for their reactors, exploring new technologies in additive manufacturing, and introducing automation to modernize factories will only strengthen manufacturing in America.
I'm Gary Butler, President and CEO. Brett shared the 40% growth in employment that we've had since 2018. And there's a constant debate, and you can see this in the press and in the politics, as does the government help or does the government hurt when companies need to grow and increase their capabilities? And I would suggest there are times that the government provides substantial help. And the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act legislation signed by former President Trump in 2017 is one of those examples. A segment of that act changed depreciation timing for some specific newly purchased items. For PCC, the large multi-axis gantry mill, the green machine that's over my right shoulder, exceeded our borrowing capacity. At $3.8 million, we just didn't have the borrowing capacity to be able to do that. But the act permitted us to depreciate 100% of that in year one, which reduced our taxes that year, which permitted us to buy that machine. But that was not a grant because we had to pay more taxes for the next 10 years. So the taxes that were diminished in year one were replaced in the subsequent years. So not a grant, not a handout to business, but getting that machine permitted us to acquire a $50 million contract that generated more than 100 jobs in this region, not just for PCC, but other manufacturers in this region. And this is just one example. The Trump organization limited us to 2 minutes to talk, and we could talk about other opportunities where the government has helped this company, and that's just one good example of the benefit to the company without hurting the government. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Bob Lighthizer. I was the United States Trade Representative in President Trump's first term. And I want to talk for a couple of minutes about economic policy. So this is a great place to talk about economic policy because a strong economy is necessary for national security, and that's fundamental to all of us. But in the Trump administration, our objective, the objective of economic policy, were these guys and gals over here on the left. Our objective was to make middle-class, working-class people wealthier. And they had been treated very poorly for a generation before Donald Trump became president, for a generation. Essentially no raises. They got the biggest raise in that generation during the Trump administration, and everyone standing over there knows that. Unfortunately, a good part of it has been given back over the course of the last 4 years. So I just want to outline our objective is workers. It's creating jobs, it's raising wages, and it's creating wealth for this vast majority of Americans that are workers in the middle class. There's 5 things, since we're talking about policy, you have to think about. You've got to think about taxes, spending, regulation, energy, and trade. And on all 5 of those things, there's a stark contrast in terms of the effect on these people of the policy between a potential Harris and a second Trump administration. On taxes, President Trump is in favor of lower taxes on middle-class people, and he proved it and he did it. On fiscal policy, you've seen Vice President Harris cast the key vote on all these bills that pumped trillions of dollars into the economy and led to the inflation that took away from the wealth of these working class people. On regulation, she is a total regulator, and President Trump famously said, if you want a new regulation, you've got to get rid of two that we already have. Even now, she suggests regulating the price of food. And everyone knows that leads to shortage, it leads to rationing, and ultimately it leads to corruption. There's never been a case where price controls were the answer. The answer is more money for workers, more production, and that way you get cheaper prices. The fourth thing is energy. Vice President Harris is anti-domestic American energy, and President Trump is in favor of it, and we need it for everything from making steel to making the parts that go into these magnificent machines that they make here, and we need it for AI. So without cheap domestic energy, America's future is much bleaker, and the future of our workers are bleaker. And finally, we need a sensible trade policy. The first president since Ronald Reagan to take on the trade issue was President Trump. He challenged China, who was taking our jobs and bleeding the wage increases of our workers. He challenged Korea. He challenged and renegotiated the job-killing NAFTA deal. And on that, when we had that vote, Vice President Harris voted against USMCA. She voted to keep NAFTA, which was a job-killing bill, and 90% of the Democrats in the House and Senate voted to pass that bill, and she voted against it. So those are the five key elements of a policy. Everybody wants us to talk about policy. Those are the five key elements of the policy. There could not be a starker difference between these two candidates. And finally, on the trade issue, we need to bring more manufacturing back to America. We need more jobs in this area, and we need more upward pressure on wages for American workers. And there's only one person that has delivered that or can deliver it in the future, and that's President Trump. Thank you all very much.
Heard from some of the very important people here today at Precision Custom Warehouse. What we're doing is we're listening to people who are going to lay out the plan that President Trump has should he become the 47th president, so that we know what we can expect in energy, in inflation. We didn't have inflation under President Trump. Remember that? Do you know that this is a statistic I was just mortified. Nearly half of Americans, and there's a lot of people in America, nearly half of Americans actually consider themselves broke. Not struggling, broke. And 66% of those Americans are covering 1 month at a time, living paycheck to paycheck, just hoping they can cover their next month's bills. Think about that, 66% of all Americans trying to figure out how they're going to pay just their monthly costs. Not in the future, not planning for the future, not planning for college and tuitions and future and vacations, but literally planning just their month-to-month life. And when you think about that, and you think that nearly 2/3 of all consumers are literally living paycheck to paycheck, that's not the kind of life that supports the American dream. And oftentimes when you ask President Trump what his goal is as a legacy, he'll say it's to support the American dream. He lived the American dream and continues to, and wants his family and their families and all of your families and all Americans, whether you're a Republican or Democrat, he wants all Americans to live their best life. And under this administration we've been living under for 3.5 years, and the administration that Harris is proposing to continue, it's not only not probable, but not likely or even realistic based on what we've already lived. You know, when you think about the response that the Harris campaign has had to inflation, it's something that I want you to really take to heart, because honesty, we talk about honesty and authenticity and consistency. Think about this. I'm going to read you this because this is important. In 2021, Harris and Biden, they're Democrats, they passed their inflation fueling $1.9 trillion stimulus. So this obviously is going to fuel inflation, right? Obviously. When Harris's 2020 campaign was actually giving and laying out policies when she was in the running to be in the primary and didn't even get past the primary, now she's, of course, the candidate because of this election by ending the possibility of Biden being in that position. What happened was we saw federal subsidies for fossil fuels laid out as ending. That was something she wanted to change. So when you think about this campaign, and she vowed, I'm going to quote this for you so you can't say, oh, Nikki's making things up. I want to quote it so you really know. She actually said she would end any fossil fuel leases on public lands. She said under her plan, millions of workers in energy jobs will have to transition to other industries. Now that's a quote. And so if that gives you some kind of an idea of what you can expect under a Harris administration, following the Biden-Harris administration, it's really important to keep that in mind and consider that. You know, she called the record high gas prices that we're seeing under this administration, she called them the price to pay for democracy. Now, is that somebody that you want delegating and leading the country in your life? I find it frightening, actually, because I know how hard it is to live. I know how hard I work. I know how hard all of you work. And I know how much it matters to all of us as Americans to be able to give a better life to the next generation and to live more than just paycheck to paycheck. But under these very expensive and inflation fueling policies, we cannot see a change. And we need to get back to where we were and where we were going. Like I said, to global dominance, not just independence, but dominance. And it's going to be something that we have to really think about very, very seriously as early voting begins and kicks off the beginning of September. You are going to want to make sure that you're registered to vote. I would love to hear from all of you. If you have any questions, if there's a question you'd like me to ask President Trump, if I have an opportunity to do so, please reach out and let me know. You can find me on Instagram at Nick Stanz, Nikstanz. I'm also on Truth at Nick Stanz, Nikstanz, or on Twitter at my full name, Nikki Stanzione. And of course, I implore you to follow RSBN to make sure that you get involved in the good fight, right? Whatever, you know, President Trump always says, go with your heart, vote with your heart, make the decision that's best for you. But we have to lay out the plans and the policies. And if we don't lay out the plan and policy, then you're voting on emotion, you're voting on narratives, you're voting on sound bites. And that's not any way to get actual substantive information. You need to listen to the full policies. You need to read about the full policies. Get a leg up on other people out there who are not sure, and then share that information with them. Everybody can be a sharer of education and information once we get the truth, not just emotion. And if you do that, I think you're already going to have a leg up on everybody else as you get into this voting season, which we are now officially in. And there's no going back. There's no going back. Once we get started, we've got to be in a position where there's no opportunity for any election interference. We need to make sure that we can't look back and say, gosh, I'm so disappointed. I should have voted. I always joke around because I watch a lot of the reality talent competition shows like American Idol or The Voice or all those fun shows, and I watch. And at the end of the season, when they vote for the winner and everybody says, I didn't want that person to win, she wasn't the best singer, he wasn't the best singer, blah, 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 blah. And this is a very simple comparison, but it kind of lays it out for you. People will say that, and you say, yeah, but did you vote? And they say no. So then how can you complain? You can't complain if you don't vote. You've got to get out and vote. It's just super important. You know what? One of the things, I don't know if you're aware of this, this was interesting to me when I realized in the end of the Obama administration, when Kamala Harris was actually the California Attorney General, you may not be aware that she actually sued the Obama administration. Did you know that? Do you know why she sued them? You probably didn't know this. The reason that she sued them was because they were allowing fracking on the California coast. So when she tells you that she does want fracking, but then she says she didn't want fracking, and then she says she does want it, just consider action. She says, look at the actions. That's the action. She actually sued the Obama administration for taking action on fracking, and her action was to say no fracking. So, I mean, these are the kind of things we have to consider, and these are the things that we're thinking about today as we talk about what's going on. And as far as inflation goes, I also want you to remember that President Trump's policy and the act that he did for the jobs and tax cuts for America made it easier for us to live beyond paycheck to paycheck. It made us able to save money, not just spend it. And right now we're scrounging. We're barely getting by just spending enough to pay the basic bills, the gas bills, the utility bills, the electric bills, our rent, our mortgage payments. And it's becoming so unaffordable that, as I said at the beginning of this conversation, half of America considers themselves broke. 2/3 of all Americans are living paycheck to paycheck and figuring out how in the heck they're going to pay next month's bills, let alone anything for savings. So if he is back in the administration, back in the White House, and he becomes the 47th president, you're going to see those tax cuts continue. She wants to end the tax cuts that President Trump gave us, and that's supposed to end at the beginning of 2025. He will extend those cuts, and he will allow us to be fruitful and to be able to live the lives that we need to live financially, whereas her administration has been very clear in saying that they are going to end those tax cuts, and they are not going to give us that break, and that's why the inflation is just going to continue to rise, friends. That's the reality, not the opinion. It's the reality. Kamalanomics has literally cost Americans, you ready for the number? I'm going to give it to you exact. $2.4 trillion since March of 2022. That's not even through the whole entire administration. That's just since March of 2022. So we're looking at just over 2 years. Can you believe that? In just over 2 years, we're thinking about a $2.4 trillion inflation. It's unsustainable. We know that it is, right? And I hate that, me, I'm light, I'm fun, I like to have a good time. I don't like to say serious, hard things, but we got to talk about the honesty and the truth. I know that right now at the DNC, they're talking about being the party of joy. Well, first of all, President Trump is all about joy. If you follow him and you look at his life and his family, he's funny, he's got an incredible sense of humor, a beautiful heart, and he's... Listen, he lightens things up when he has to, but at the end of the day, he's a businessman, and he knows he's got to take care of business. And the business that he's taking care of right now is the business called America. And we want to see those changes. And in order for us to not be looking at another $2.4 trillion inflation increase, we have to not only nominate, but we have to elect the right person, because we didn't even nominate the opponent. The opponent was not nominated. The opponent did not go through an election. She went into a selection. And that in itself is a threat to democracy, because if we no longer have the right as Americans to elect our officials as opposed to select our officials, then we no longer are the democracy or republic that we have always stood proud to be. And I like to share these things because I think sometimes we have to get knocked back to reality and say, what are the facts? Forget all of the fluff, forget all the fun, forget all the laughter, forget all the crowd size, this, that, and the other thing. No name calling, all of it. Let's put it all aside for a minute. Let's just speak facts. And as we speak facts and policy, I'm laying them out for you today so that you get an understanding and you can share it with the people in your life. So when they have something to say, you can come back with an answer that's honest and fair, and as we call it, the receipts, right? The receipts. Here's another one for you. Ready? Americans, write it down, have now lost over $4,562 paying higher energy costs since Harris and Biden took office. That's $4,562. The U.S. average gas price, I told you earlier, it's at about $3.45 per gallon. I told you this. I told you that's double what it was under President Trump. Under Harris and Biden, the price of a gallon of gas has been above $3, forget this, almost 1,200 days in a row. So even though that as the campaign gets closer to a head and they're trying to win an election, at least Harris is now, as they're trying to win an election, they're trying to use that energy more. They're trying to drill. They're trying to get our resources back in place so that they can say they're winning an election and that they brought the prices down. The prices are still tremendously higher, significantly higher than they were when they took office. They just got them down from the highest peak from where they were. And in the interim, also remember that a lot of these promises they've made have not been kept. With President Trump, you got a president that was promises made, promises kept. Throughout the week, he's going to be highlighting his entire agenda all around America through the DNC. He's going to be in every city. He's going to be in Michigan tomorrow. He's going to be in Vegas. He's going to be in Arizona. He's going to be at the border. He's going to be all over the country this week to lay out his policy, which is about making America great in every way, from safety to crime to power to wealth to prosperity and to energy. And we have to get a handle on these energy resources, and today is what we're doing. This is why we're here. We're all having a good time. We're always happy to be able to see President Trump and all of these incredible Americans and patriots have gathered together. But it's also important that we realize what the life that we're living is bringing to each of us in a day-to-day reality. Right? So American finances are being decimated. We know this, and we're not happy about it. We're not happy. 84% of all Americans are actually about the same or worse off financially compared to just 1 year ago. So even in this last year, it hasn't gotten better. Americans trust President Trump to handle the economy. They really will trust him to handle inflation over Harris by a 14-point margin. That's what we're seeing in the polls. So according to, this is actually from the YouGov poll right now, the YouGov poll is actually polling President Trump 14% higher than Harris in the trust that Americans have in him, keeping inflation down, keeping prices lower, and keeping costs lower, but keeping wages back up again. Because we need to see those wages up. The wages and the costs are not measuring up. They're not matching up, and they're not making sense, and they're not sustainable. And it all begins with energy. And so with a 20.2% rise in inflation overall on the average since Kamala Harris took office, we are in trouble financially. And it all begins with seeing how we can utilize the liquid gold, as President Trump always says, the liquid gold that's right under our feet. How can we utilize that in a way that we can all benefit? Not just part of America, not just sections of America, not just people who want this or who want that, but everyone needs a sustainable lifestyle. Because if you can't put gas in your car, and you can't afford car insurance, and you can't pay your rent, and you can't afford to put the air conditioner on in the summer or the heat on in the winter, and you don't have the utilities to operate your gas stoves or your electricity, there's nothing left. And we lose all the rights of the freedom that we have in America. And we cannot allow that to happen. We absolutely cannot. And so, again, I'm not speaking just from ideas or thoughts or opinions. I'm reading factual information based on something we knew. It'd be one thing if President Trump was somebody that was coming from the business world, which he is, and we love that. He's coming from the business world, but we had no idea how he'd lead a country or what would happen financially under the state of his leadership. Had we not known that, like we did in 2016, it was all the unknown. But he proved it. He proved himself. He gave us a better life financially, a better life insofar as our safety. And now here we are in 2024 about to make a change. And if you want that change, that's what you'll see. If you don't want to change, if you want to continue to see the rising costs of inflation, if you want to see the lowering costs of wages, then you can continue to to enjoy the life that we're living right now under Harris. And Kamalanomics is not the answer. This was something else I want to read you real quickly before Mike comes right back out. The Trump campaign was talking about high energy prices and how he cares about that versus Vice President Harris. She called the record high gas prices seen under the administration the price to pay for democracy, as I told you before. But she actually, and I know you won't find this surprising, and this is upsetting, she actually laughed at Americans struggling to afford gas. She was interviewed and people were asking her, how does she feel about Americans struggling to afford gas? And she laughed. And I'll tell you, it is no laughing matter. I love to laugh. I'm all about it. And this is not even a personality attack. This is just saying, who do you want to make these important decisions for you? Somebody that laughs about it or somebody that literally does something about it? That's the key. And under this leadership, all 50 states, all 50 of them, hit record high gas prices, every single one of them. And the average cost, by the way, of a new electric vehicle, if you want to talk about electric vehicles, is now more than $56,000. That's according to the Kelley Blue Book. So, of course, you go to Kelley Blue Book to get all your car information. That is the fact. So I'm reading you facts. I'm sharing the facts. Write them down. Get a handle on it, and I really implore you to get as informed as you can and as educated as you can. And I hope I'm giving you some helpful insight. I'm going to bring Mike back out here, but I thank you guys for listening. Again, don't forget to follow me at Nick Stans on Truth and on Instagram, Nikki Stanzione on Twitter, and of course follow all of RSBN's pages and make sure that you are getting out there. If you text RSBN to 801-801, it's going to give you a chance to be a part of our world, to get our newsletter, and to also even donate to the network so that we can continue to bring you the wall-to-wall coverage of all things President Trump and the America First agenda throughout this campaign season. We are your best place to go for the wall-to-wall coverage, and you will want to share your broadcasts that you're watching with us. You can also actually, this is interesting, if you want to go and get something in your inbox, you can actually sign up for our newsletter at RSB Network, and it's just rsbnetwork.com /newsletter. That's it. So that's all you have to do. Thank you guys for listening. We're just getting, I believe we're not far away. It's about 2:41. President Trump is expected to speak at 3 p.m. Eastern, so we're only about 20 minutes from that. I'm going to turn the mic over to Mike. Mike on the mic.
Mike on the mic.
Mike on the mic.
All right. Well, President Trump, like Nikki said, thank you very much, Nikki, should be here in about 20 minutes or so here in York, PA. We are expecting to hear more remarks on the economy, on defense, how we're going to make America strong again, how we're going to make America resilient again, and how we're going to bring manufacturing jobs here to Pennsylvania and around these United States. We've been talking for quite some time. I felt a little squeamish earlier, so it's important that we talk about the wellness company. I take a lot of vitamins, I take a lot of supplements. These supplements here from the Wellness Company are something that are important to everybody and something that we should have, something that, we were told many times, some of these medications not to take. We now know that that was not true. So the Wellness Company, America, listen up. Yeah. The world is getting more unpredictable by the day. We've got assassination attempts, rumors of civil war, an unstable stock market, and now the looming threat of bird flu. Who could imagine? Did you know that the WHO has announced there is a bird flu summit in October, which is very curious timing, obviously, with the upcoming 2024 elections. It's eerily reminiscent of Event 201, which foreshadowed the COVID pandemic, and this is the first topic on the agenda, a mass fatality management planning. And if that doesn't send chills up every American spine, the fact that they're talking about this well before it's already happening, much like they did for the pandemic, it should scare you. But there's good news. You don't have to be scared if you're prepared. The Wellness Company created a contagion emergency kit, and every home in America should have at least one of these. They've packed with life-saving medications like ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, antibiotics like Z-Paks, and it's all backed by experts like Dr. Peter McCullough and Dr. Drew Pinsky. Imagine this, no more frantic searches for a doctor, no more emergency rooms, just a few clicks, no waiting, and they will deliver it directly to your door. In times like these, having a contagion emergency kit is not just a luxury, it's a necessity. Protect yourself, protect your family, protect your kids. Prepare now. Visit TWChealth/RSBN and use code RSBN to save $45 at checkout. These kits are only available to U.S. citizens here in the USA. As we await President Trump, some talking points here about President Trump and what President Trump has done in his previous presidency. We're hoping to get back here. But obviously, President Trump came in, there was a lot of people very scared about his drain the swamp message and what President Trump was hoping to do, something that the Democrats were very, very scared of, and, with good reason. One thing to acknowledge is the absolute how Donald Trump has turned politics in the United States on its head. We now know, because of Donald Trump, that the media, the mainstream media, has not always been truthful with American people. Growing up, you were always, expected to trust the media. Whatever you heard, that's what it was. And we now know that that's not true, which is why we have RSBN, to be able to bring you the true news, to be able to show you what's going on here at these events, to be able to show you the true crowds. Unfortunately, we can't pan our camera around to show you just how packed this event is, but they've packed every person they can into this manufacturing facility. Defense contractor that manufactures parts for nuclear submarines, as you earlier heard, nuclear warheads, a whole bunch of things that the list is pretty extensive that they do. But again, Donald Trump wanting to bring more jobs here to Pennsylvania and to the United States. President Trump's job growth and economic policies, the absolute has brought down record unemployment rates among African Americans, Hispanic Americans, and women. His administration's tax cuts and deregulation efforts have really stimulated the businesses, investments, and economic growth during his term. We've now seen that President Biden and Kamala Harris have really decimated small business, which makes up to 60% of businesses here in the United States. And it's really been an attack on small business and regulations and funding and things of that nature that have really just been crushing. We've heard from some of the people that we've interviewed over the past several rallies, the crushing effects that the Biden-Harris administration has had on their businesses, their family-owned businesses, where they're just trying to provide. They're not even trying to make, an insane amount of money. They just really want to provide. These are small businesses around the country that are there to provide for their family, and due to the Biden-Harris administration and absolutely what Harris and Walz will do going forward, we now know that it's just going to be decimation of these small businesses. President Trump's energy independence stance. His policies promoted independence, reducing reliance on foreign oil and supporting American energy sector, leading to lower energy prices. We want to make sure that we're bringing down the gas prices. And as President Trump continues to say, drill, 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 we are drilling currently, but we're exporting so much of that current oil that it's just not staying here, and it's not bringing down the prices like it should. So what President Trump wants to do is obviously continue drilling here, drill even more, and make sure that we have under our feet now is staying here in the United States to bring down our gas prices. Peace through strength, another big policy that Donald Trump has. No wars. It was a very long time prior to Donald Trump that this country was not involved in some sort of war. There was no wars going on around the world under President Trump because other countries respected him. Other leaders respected him. What Donald Trump said he would do, he did. Every time. And so there was no, let's test the waters, let's dip our toe in the water to see if he's really going to do it, because every time he did, he took out terrorist leaders. We know that President Trump does what he says. With the Abraham Accords, it normalized relations between Israel and several Arab nations, a significant achievement in the Middle East policy. We've seen what a disaster that is, and we see what's going on in the DNC. You can turn on any channel right now and see what's going on at the DNC. Hopefully you stick to RSBN, but if you're watching something in the background, you'll see what an absolute war zone Chicago has been turned into over the past 24 hours. Hundreds of thousands of people are crowding the streets. They've taken out businesses. Businesses aren't able to do business. Businesses have been boarded up, and people are afraid. People are scared for their lives because there's also the threat of chemical attacks, which is something that Secret Service has been talking about, and local police there in Chicago. I have friends that work for the Chicago Police Department. I've texted them, and their feelings are the same. They don't want to be out there because they feel that they don't have nobody has their back, and they certainly don't have enough police officers on the ground to be able to protect citizens and even protect their own officers should something go down with this amount of people. And obviously the left mayor there is continuing to tell people to come in, to have their voices heard, and it's just really bringing down the city right now. People are afraid to leave their houses in what is a very left city as well. Obviously, President Trump has made some very crucial judicial appointments. You know, his Supreme Court justices and numerous federal judges are committed to upholding the Constitution, which we've seen, and it's become so important, especially for Donald Trump, as the left has thrown so much at him to try and take him out and take him out of this election. It's important to know that we have a judicial system that, you know, supports and represents the better part of the United States of America. I want to take a minute again to thank one of our sponsors, Tax Network. I know we talk about them all the time, but it's true. If you can save $854 a month, you know, that's something that you certainly want to do. If you're struggling with back taxes and unfiled returns, the IRS is escalating collections, adding over 20,000 new agents. That's something that Kamala Harris actually voted on, to bring in all these agents to go after the tips that she's now saying she's not going to tax. So again, a little wolf in sheep's clothing trying to pull the wool over America's eyes. In these challenging times, your best defense is Tax Network USA. Don't let the IRS take advantage of you. With over 14 years of experience, Tax Network USA has saved their clients over $1 billion in back taxes. No matter the size of your tax issue, their expertise is your advantage. Tax Network USA doesn't just negotiate, they also protect your asset from IRS seizures and manage your yearly returns for ongoing compliance. It's important to be able to have someone to do that. Importantly, they're licensed to help you in all states with any issues. Regardless of where you are, they are able to help you in every state here in the USA. The clock is ticking. Don't waste time as the IRS steps up its game. Seize control of your financial future now. Contact Tax Network USA for immediate relief and expert guidance. Call 1-800-357-1415 or visit tnusa.com/RSBN. Don't let tax issues overpower you. Turn to Tax Network and find your financial way to your financial freedom and your peace of mind. Again, live TV, folks, reading off of a lot of scripts. We've got a lot of people to thank. But most importantly, we want to thank you guys here at RSBN. You can go to rsbnetwork.com/donate. We appreciate everything that you can to support us while we are on our journey here following Donald Trump all over the United States day to day. We have crews everywhere. We're going to be at every event that we can, and we want to make sure that we're bringing you the real, true news here on the ground so you see it here first. You don't have to rely on mainstream media's, terrible reporting, and you never know whether or not they're telling you the truth. I can tell you that it is probably 95 degrees here where we are. Wearing a suit is not the most comfortable thing. You can probably see me sweating right now. It is very, very uncomfortable here as we await the arrival of President Trump here in roughly 10 minutes or so here in York, Pennsylvania at this manufacturing facility. The crowds are, I can see as far as I can possibly see with this media riser, which Nikki mentioned is extremely, extremely tight, especially for a guy like myself that's 6'5" here. It's like a bull in a china shop here. But again, getting back to more of Donald Trump's policies, one thing I mentioned earlier is that Thursday he's going to be heading to the border in Tucson and talk about just reducing illegal immigration. Donald Trump is not against immigration. He's not against immigration in any way, shape, or form. Again, I speak as from a personal level. My wife immigrated from Peru 24 years ago. She did it the right way. She spent a lot of money. It took a very long time. President Trump is all for legal immigration. What he doesn't want is these people coming in that we have no idea who they are, where they've come from, what their intentions are here in the USA. And we've got hundreds of people that are on the terrorist watch list that are right now roaming around our country. We have no idea what states they're in. We have no idea what they plan on doing. But we do know that without a doubt we have hundreds of people that are on the terror watch list right now. And that's a scary thought for any American. You don't know what it's going to be, a school, a sporting event, a rally. You just don't know where they're going to be coming from. But we do know that they're here. And so obviously something President Donald Trump wants to put an end to right away. Obviously, with a comprehensive immigration reform bill, focused on existing laws and prioritizing American workers and voters, because this is something that resonates with everyone. Everyone is here. We want law and order. We want our law enforcement, our customs and border agents. We want people to be able to do their jobs. I think we want to be able to get back to where we can trust our FBI, which right now we've seen over the past several years, even during Donald Trump's administration, the forces within this deep state have just taken aim at Donald Trump and done everything they can at the behest of the left in order to keep Donald Trump out of office and bringing this nation back together again and unifying this nation, and make America great again. We say that enough. It's become one of those terms that, we hear time and time again. And again, it's a term that, without a doubt, we want to make America great again. There's no reason this nation can't get back to this. As I stand here in this facility, it just goes to show from years and years ago the craftsmanship, the construction, and how these buildings were constructed, and the strength in which they were done so. So I know we're getting close here. Again, I mentioned law enforcement and criminal justice reform. But before I get into that, I want to tell you a little bit more about Birch Gold. You've heard that before. You've heard about this awesome fight Trump coin that that they have, and it's something you can get. Excuse me 1 second while I pull it up. Are you struggling? Nope, sorry, wrong one. Live TV, and I've got a million of these. Let's see, Birch Gold. Where are you, Birch Gold? Here we go. Birch Gold, thank you guys. So many sponsors. Thank the Wellness Company, Tax Network. Appreciate everything. Birch Gold, in these crazy times, there's peace of mind and security. Security for our country, security for our leaders, and security, more importantly, for our families. But think about this. If you have all your eggs in one basket, you're not financially secure. Gold and silver are an excellent way to diversify your savings. They're a hedge against inflation. And through our friends at Birch Gold Group, you can now own physical gold and silver in a tax-sheltered retirement account. This is one thing you can do today to secure you and your family's savings. Text the word Trump to 989898 and receive a free info kit on gold. Plus, in August only, which I think we only have a week or so left, 78 days till the election. Plus, in August only, on any purchase you make, Birch Gold is giving away a free Trump silver coin. This brand new, one-of-a-kind silver coin features Trump boldly raising his fist from the assassination attempt moments after. You don't want to miss your chance to own this special piece of history. A celebration of a leader dedicated to our security, preserved in the security of a precious metal coin. So secure your savings today and get your free Trump silver coins. Text Trump to 989898 today. That's Trump to the number 989898. Do that. Check it out. See what they have. See if it's something for you. It's certainly something everyone can do. It's a cool coin. If you have a couple dollars to invest in gold and silver, it's a great opportunity to do that. And again, if you support President Trump, you'll have a piece of memorabilia that you can pass down from generation to generation. Looking forward to 2024. We're going to conclude here today talking about the campaign. Reflects on its continued commitment to the issues here that matter most to all of his supporters and to all of America. His experience that we've seen, his policy successes, and its determination for him as the strongest candidate here in the 2024 election. Again, I want to bring up, I brought it up the last time, I brought it up again today, emphasize the importance of unity within our party here, the Republican Party, but not only within the party, because we already know that this is a united front here in the Republican Party. It's going to be interesting to see what we see at the DNC, because right now we have a very divided Democratic Party. We don't know what's going to happen tonight with President Biden, where this is his ultimate shove off, into the abyss of ex-presidents. So, we're going to see what takes place there tonight. This coronation of a president-elect that has never received a single vote. It's going to make for a very, very interesting DNC. Nikki, if you want to come on in, Nikki wants to tell you a little bit more about what's going on here in York, PA. I'm going to step off and try not to break anything.
I know that's a challenge. It's very, very crowded, guys. We're trying. We really are. You can do the duck. Do the duck. This is a good workout right here. The little quad workout to duck down. I wanted to just lay out a couple of things that are going to be happening in this speech. We're going to be hearing some really important conversations from President Trump, as we talked about, as Mike brought up. But one of the things that I thought was really important for you guys to know is, as we're in a place like this, and we're so happy to be in this incredible industrial warehouse. It's really remarkable. But one of the things that I think is so important to highlight, which I know President Trump is going to be speaking about, are manufacturing jobs. And when you consider the fact that under Kamala, we really have fallen into a manufacturing recession, and he's going to really touch on that a lot today. He's going to talk about the recession that the manufacturing industry, as he always says, the industry, has been has been facing. And yet, when you contrast it, and this is the key, is always contrasting it, 13,000 jobs in the manufacturing world have been lost since they started just this year alone, right? And that's a big deal. But yet, under President Trump's leadership, he created 500,000 manufacturing jobs in just 3 years. So in just 3 years, that was what happened. Now we're starting to see people coming on out. We're going to be seeing President Trump making his way, of course, up here to the podium in just a few moments. So for that, I just want to say, make sure that if you have any friends that wanted to tune in today, that they make sure that they do. Don't let them miss out. And I also wanted to share with you guys, before the guys come out, because they are going to be out any moment, I want to just remind you, in a comfortable world, and I mean really in a comfortable world, we talk about sleeping well. So if you're, oh, here he comes, stepping off.
Next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Thank you very much. That's beautiful. This is quite a place. It's an honor to be here at Precision Custom Components, a company that has helped to build and defend America for over 150 years. That's really an extraordinary achievement. I want to thank you, President Gary Butler, and the members of the wonderful Butler family, and members of Congress, Scott Perry and G.T. Thompson. You're here someplace in this very big factory, wherever you may be. There you are. Great people, great warriors, I will tell you. My trade representative, Ambassador Robert Lighthizer, who's fantastic at a thing called trade. We did very well at trade, and you were fantastic, and I want to thank you, Bob, very much. And Chair of the York County Commissioners, Julie Wheeler. Thank you, Julie, very much. Thank you. And a very special congratulations to all of the people of York County today who are celebrating the 275th anniversary of York County's founding. That's pretty good, huh? That beats most of them out there. But most of all, let me thank the exceptionally skilled and talented workers with us in this room. I know you well. I know them from all over the country. They come, and they are the most talented people and the most brilliant people in so many respects. So thank you all very much for being here. We appreciate it. Thank you. For generations, the handiwork of Precision Custom Components has strengthened the spine of America. Your products have gone into the Hoover Dam and atomic energy plants, nuclear submarines, and they currently are doing a lot of work I'm here today to deliver a simple message. When I'm back in the White House, America's future will be built right here in Pennsylvania. And it will be built by American workers like you. It'll be all over the country we'll be building, but Pennsylvania is always a big factor. And we've had great success, as you know, politically and otherwise in Pennsylvania. And we expect to have it again. We're doing very well here. Thank you very much. With your vote, we will unleash explosive economic growth and vast new prosperity for all of our citizens. We will put more money into your pockets and create millions and millions of new jobs. We're going to do it like nobody else has ever been able to do it. Our plan will massively cut taxes, unlock American energy, slash regulations, big factor, crack down on trade cheaters and stop outsourcing, rebuild our industrial base and bring back those beautiful words, made in the USA. And we were doing that 4 years ago and starting to do really well. And then we had to stop for an unknown reason. Together we will reclaim our nation's destiny as the #1 manufacturing superpower in the world. We will do it. And China won't even be close. Nobody will be. We had that going at a level that nobody's seen before, and we're going to have it going again even better. And this firm and this people standing behind me and in front of me will be a big factor. Every policy in Kamala Harris's radical liberal playbook sends jobs and wealth to other countries. The jobs go to other countries, and the wealth goes to other countries. Every policy in the Trump agenda is designed to bring the jobs and wealth back home to America, where it belongs and where it's going to stay. Kamala puts America last. I put America first. Some facts that are interesting. The year before I took office, the United States lost over 10,000 manufacturing jobs. Everybody said you'd never bring it back. But under my leadership, we created more than 500,000 manufacturing jobs in less than 3 years. After decades of wage stagnation and income surged, we had a surge like nobody's ever seen before. But it surged for everybody during the Trump administration. Every group, everybody, men, women. We had every household was at a level that they've never really experienced before. The typical American household saw their incomes grow by more than $4,200 per year. Everyone was better off when you had a gentleman named President Donald J. Trump at the helm. Does anybody know him? Whoever he may be. I kept every single promise I made to the workers of Pennsylvania and to every other place within our country. On day one, I withdrew from the unfair job-killing Trans-Pacific Partnership, and if I didn't do that, you wouldn't be open right now. You wouldn't have a job. That was a big thing. It was approved by another president. It would have destroyed our manufacturing in this country still further. I imposed historic tariffs on foreign aluminum and foreign steel and numerous other things that were unfair to our country and unfair to our workers. I ended the total disaster known as NAFTA, the worst trade deal ever made by this country, and replaced it with the brand new USMCA, that's Mexico and Canada, the best trade deal ever made by our country. Although I will tell you that I think the deal with China was probably even better. They had to buy $50 billion worth of our product, but after COVID, I don't even talk about that anymore. $50 billion they had to buy, and they were buying it too. And I stood up to China like never before, bringing in hundreds of billions of dollars when no other president had gotten literally 10 cents from China. I brought in hundreds of billions of dollars from China. It never happened before. Nobody else literally got 10 cents. We passed the largest tax cuts in history, the largest regulation cuts in history, and built the greatest economy in the history of the world. We were at a level that nobody had ever seen before. And now we're going to do it again, but we're going to do it even bigger, better, stronger, and smarter. When I left office, I handed Kamala and crooked Joe Biden a surging economy with no inflation. You had no inflation. You had everything was good. Great wages, no inflation. Now you have inflation at levels that I don't believe anyone's ever seen before. The 30-year mortgage rate was 2.6%, but it was actually closer to 1.9 if you look at it the way that most people look at it. And gasoline had reached and was basically at levels of $1.87 a gallon, but we had months and moments where it was even less than that. Wouldn't that be nice? $1.87, Gary. That would be very nice. The family likes it more than Gary. Gary's been around too long. The family likes it more. Our economic future had never looked brighter when Kamala and Biden came in. They quickly blew it all up, destroyed. 350,000 Americans joined the unemployment rolls last month. Did you know that? I keep hearing about their economy. Their economy's terrible. And the inflation is eating everybody alive, and it's been doing that for 3 years. The no inflation, or almost no inflation, it kept going during the early part of this administration, this current administration, but it ended very quickly, and then it went to levels, and so quickly, it went so fast, and it was a shame, and it was all blown up and destroyed, and jobs were lost. A lot of jobs were lost. Our country is doing really badly under them, and nobody wants to talk about it. The media doesn't like talking about it because the Democrats, they really protect themselves. It's pretty amazing. Someday the media is going to become real media instead of fake media, and you're going to see a big difference in the country. Real incomes are down $2,000 a year since she took office. Kamala cast the tie-breaking votes that gave us the worst inflation in American history, costing a typical family $28,000. And under Kamala, we have fallen into manufacturing recession with 13,000 manufacturing jobs lost in the United States since just the start of this year. I don't know if you all know that, but that's what's happened. And it'll happen here, and it'll happen in this plant. It'll happen everywhere if she gets in. If Kamala gets in, the United States will rapidly become a deindustrialized third world nation, like so many others have become. She's running on socialist price controls, banning gas-powered cars and trucks, and private health insurance policies are gone. She wants to defund the police, abolish cash bail. She wants to abolish it immediately, cash bail. She wants to abolish ICE, get rid of the incredible, brave patriots of ICE who take MS-13 gang members, probably the worst gang anywhere in the world. Horrible situation. They take them out, and they take them out bravely. They're strong, they're fierce, and they love our country. She wants to give free health care for millions of illegal aliens and give them all citizenship into the United States immediately. And she then wants to sign them up for Medicare and Social Security. And she wants them to vote illegally if possible. Any way they can vote. They don't care if it's legal or not. And they're signing people up as we speak. They're signing them up as we speak. They don't care. They don't care about the laws. Very simply, Kamala Harris is an economy wrecker and a country destroyer. Our country will be destroyed if she gets in. Her radical liberal agenda ruined San Francisco. It ruined California when she was the Attorney General. It crushed our middle class, demolished our border, set the world on fire, and now she wants to be promoted to the job killer in chief. But much more than job killer, everything else is going to go bad. She set the standard in California. Think of this. If you steal $950 or less, they're going to leave you alone. They can't be bothered. So you see criminals going into stores with a little computer, adding it up, everything they've stolen. They want to stay under the 950, but they don't get prosecuted. for above that. The only one that gets prosecuted is somebody who would talk about the unfair election. They get prosecuted. But when you steal and rob and kill and so many other things, when you sell drugs and destroy people's lives, nothing happens to you under Kamala. But we will not let this happen. We're not going to let it happen to our country. 78 days from now, Pennsylvania is going to tell her that we've had enough, that we can't take it anymore. And comrade Kamala Harris, you're fired. Get out. You're not doing the job. Get out. You're fired. While Biden and Harris have been impoverishing our country, they have been getting rich, very rich at your expense. Now, it just came out, just was reported today by a great young reporter, Brooke Singman at Fox, according to a 292-page report from the House Oversight, Judiciary, and Ways and Means Committees in Congress. Just got out a little while ago, just before I got here. I said, no, I want to talk about it just briefly. It's so sad because he's going to be making a speech tonight, and they don't call him Crooked Joe for no reason. They said President Biden engaged in impeachable conduct and said he abused his office and defrauded the United States of America to enrich his family. Republicans revealed that since 2014, the Biden family and its associates received more than $27 million from foreign individuals and entities. They also found that while Biden was serving as vice president, the Biden family got more than $8 million in loans from Democrat benefactors, and they said that those loans have never been repaid. Those are the best kind of loans, aren't they? This report says in part that Vice President Biden actively participated in this conspiracy by, among other things, attending dinners with his family, foreign business partners, and speaking to them by phone, often being placed on speakerphone by Hunter Biden. Republicans are calling out a 2014 dinner that Hunter Biden and his family attended with a Russian oligarch, and they said that after that dinner, that oligarch wired $3.5 million to Hunter Biden's firm very quickly. It was a very quick wiring. I'm sure he worked very hard for the money. Several witnesses testified that Hunter Biden invoked his father in business dealings with Romanian, Chinese, Kazakhstani, and Ukrainian companies, in addition to other companies and people, resulting in millions and millions of dollars flowing into the Biden family. As everybody knows, $3.5 million was sent from the mayor of Moscow, the mayor of Moscow's wife. Remember, I brought that up in the debate I had. I said, why did this happen? And the anchor wouldn't let me ask that question. They thought it was inappropriate, but then it blew up. $3.5 million was sent by the mayor of Moscow's wife to the family. They're also calling out Biden for his handling of classified documents. They said during his tenure as vice president, Joe Biden removed highly sensitive classified documents from the White House despite having no authority to do so. And remember, comrade Kamala, she knew everything, and the senators knew what was going on. And by the way, I had my own classified documents case, and I was totally exonerated. Totally. There was a case brought by Joe Biden and Kamala. She was involved. They did that in order to interfere with the election, and it still goes on, different cases, but that was, according to most, the big one, and we were totally exonerated. The case was won a month ago. Very little coverage of the case being won, I must say. I think that a lot of the media didn't even talk about it. There's no way someone could have stolen that much money without Democrat senators knowing what was going on. He wined and dined them at Joe's houses. They saw his boats. They saw the way he lived. They saw his beautiful mansions. I would have made billions of dollars in this job if I wanted to play that game the way they played it, but instead I took the job very seriously and very importantly. And you can see from the recently announced financial reports, I don't need the money. And I'm proud to announce that doing and being president, I lost billions of dollars. And I knew that would happen. Maybe not quite as much as that, but I'm satisfied with that because we want to make America great again. That's much more important. We have to make America great again. No, I could have played it the other way. I could have made so much. I see some of my friends over here. I could have made so much. No, I didn't want to do that. This is too important. This is too big a thing. We've got to save our country because our country is really in big trouble. We're a nation in decline. We're going down the drain. The drain is the swamp that you've heard so much about. They get rich, and in Washington, some of these politicians, what they're doing to our country is disgraceful. But he's one of the leaders of the pack. You have others. The number one step we will take to launch a great American manufacturing renaissance will be to end Kamala Harris's war on American energy. It's a war. And you do know that inflation was caused by her cutback on energy. And then what they did is they, in a panic move, shortly thereafter, when the numbers for gasoline, oil, and electricity and everything else that comes from energy and out of energy, when they started going through the roof, they immediately went back to the Trump plan. But what they didn't go back to is my plan would have been doubled, tripled, and even quadrupled from the numbers I had 4 years ago. They didn't do that. They brought it back to a similar, because they were getting just absolutely destroyed by the numbers it was going up. And you can bet that if we don't win, she takes over, your energy numbers will be triple and quadruple, and you won't be producing a drop of oil. They ended the largest oil reserve anywhere in the world, probably as large as Saudi Arabia. The Saudi Arabia has this massive amount of oil. It's called Anwar in Alaska. They ended it on close to day one. They ended it. Ronald Reagan couldn't get it. No other president got it. I got it. And it's bigger than Russia, bigger than Saudi Arabia, most likely. They seem to think biggest in the world. They've been after getting that approved for many, many decades. Ronald Reagan worked so hard to get it, he couldn't get it. I got it. And then they ended it. They were just set to start drilling. Everything was done. And he came into office. He ended it. On day one, I will tell the frackers and energy workers of Pennsylvania to drill, baby, drill. And she's totally a non-fracker, you know that. Until a few months ago, she said, oh, it's just like on tips. We're not going to tax tips. All of a sudden, she comes out and she says the same thing, exactly the same words that I used months later, and other things. She's like trying to copy my policy, but it takes much more than copying a policy because they're never going to produce it anyway. Our country's going to be in serious trouble. But she was a non-fracker, no fracking under any circumstance. She's like 100 times saying, I will not frack. Look at her debates. There will be no fracking, will be no. Then a few months ago, she said, we'd love to frack. You know, with a politician, they go back to their original thought. There will be no fracking if she's elected in Pennsylvania or anywhere else. You'll have energy that will go up 3, 4, 5 times. You'll be paying $10 a gallon for gasoline and a lot higher than that. Unleashing American energy will reduce prices, launch record-setting economic growth, create millions and millions of jobs, and produce higher wages for the American worker. You can't be a manufacturing powerhouse unless you have low-cost energy. We will have low-cost energy. Electricity rates for a Chinese factory are more than 50% lower than the price of electricity for an American factory. And we were working 4 years ago at really getting it along, and then we were hit with The COVID came in, we focused on that, we did a great job. If we didn't do a great job on that, we would have been in a depression like in 1929, which is where you're heading if she gets in. You're heading for the depression of 1929, that type. That's called the Big League Depression. Since Kamala took office, electricity prices in America up much more than 30% nationwide. And here in Pennsylvania, they're expected to increase by another 30%. They think it's going to be actually unsustainable for your state if she gets in. It's not sustainable. It's not sustainable for the country. That's why I've declared that a top priority for my administration will be to cut the cost of energy in half within the first 12 months of taking office. So we'll cut it in half. I think we'll be able to do better than that. We're going to be cutting it in half, guys. That'll help you a little bit, won't it? And I think we'll do that very quickly. That includes heating, air conditioning, electricity, and gasoline. Your bills will be less than half. When you look at the New England area, they pay some of the highest energy anywhere in the world because they can't put a pipeline in. They've been restricted from putting a pipeline in through a certain section of New York that is desperately wanting it. They need the job so badly. And if they did that in New England, the prices would come down half just with the pipeline alone. They were getting their gasoline and their energy from a place called Russia. Ships would pull up on the East Coast, Russian ships, and that's where New England got it from, and they were paying a big price. And to this day, they're paying the highest prices. But we'll take care of that. We think energy costs, all of it, air conditioning, heating, all of it, including gasoline, will drop by more than 50% within the first 12 months. So remember that. That includes for factories. This will help us quickly defeat inflation and make America affordable again. By contrast, Kamala Harris wants to ban fracking. She supports a national carbon tax, which is a horrible tax that will destroy many businesses, that will have a huge impact on this business, but that will destroy a carbon tax. Nobody even knows what it is. Nobody knows how to calculate it. And she imposed a natural gas export ban. All catastrophic things for Pennsylvania. That means all the income coming in, for the most part, you'll have none of it. You'll lose 500,000 jobs, and you won't have the income coming up. That means Pennsylvania is going to have to pay, your Commonwealth, your beautiful Commonwealth is going to have to pay numbers that nobody ever thought even possible or worth discussion. Kamala is also on a regulatory jihad to shut down power plants all across America. Now, Germany tried it just a couple of years ago, and they ended up getting rid of their political leaders very quickly, and now they're building probably 50 or 60 power plants currently, and they're looking to build a lot more. But they got rid of everything, and they wanted to go to wind and solar and lots of other things. Unfortunately, it didn't work. They couldn't fire up the plants. The plants were closed, and they couldn't get them going. And now they've gone to the other extreme. They've gone back to fossil fuel. I hope clean fossil fuel, clean coal. They do have clean coal. They have coal that actually has to make your electricity. And if you didn't have fossil fuel, you wouldn't have electricity because that's where it comes from originally. And you can have very clean and efficient natural gas. At least 50 existing power plants have closed since she took office, Kamala took office. They're closing them all over the country. They're closing nuclear. They're closing coal. They're closing everything. We're not going to have, that's why in California you have blackouts all the time. They're constant blackouts, and yet they want to go to all electric cars. Let's go to all electric cars, even though we don't have enough electricity to give ourselves some cool and some heat in the summers and the winters. I'm announcing today that when I return to the White House, I will end the anti-American energy crusade and terminate Kamala's so-called power plant rule. It's a disaster for our country. Our country will have no jobs by the time these communists and Marxists get rid of, when they destroy the country, probably can never come back either, just so you understand. too much competition from other countries that are doing it right. We have a lot of competition out there, not only China, we have a lot of other competition. Instead of shutting down power plants, we will open dozens and dozens more, and they'll happen fast. Kamala stands for energy disappearance and factory obliteration. She will obliterate factories like this. I stand for American energy independence and manufacturing dominance. We're going to be dominant in manufacturing. We're going to be dominant in energy, too, not just getting it to take care of ourselves. We're going to be selling it all over the world. We're going to be reducing our debt. We're going to be lowering your taxes still further. Don't forget, I gave you the largest tax cut in history. We're going to be lowering your taxes still further. Upon taking office, I will do rapid approvals for new energy infrastructure, and we will embrace all forms of energy, including nuclear. Nuclear is a great energy. This plant is making some things that I just got to see, and it's incredible what you've done, what Gary and the family have done, the level of complexity, the level of detail, the power that we're talking about is incredible. To power our country into the future, including the electricity demands of AI and cryptocurrencies, which is a very big subject. It's coming up more and more, and we have to stay at the top. We want to be right at the forefront, otherwise China and other countries will take it over. That's both of them, AI and crypto. We will make a historic commitment to bring in advanced, small, modular nuclear reactors online. Building these massive plants that cost $20 billion and don't even get built like we had recently in a couple of other states. I won't mention the states, but they had 2 plants that got so out of control with cost overruns, massive, massive nuclear plants. No, we're going to do small reactors, small nuclear, we call it. France does that. France does very well with that. They do small, and if they need more, they build a second one, a third one, a fourth one. They hook them up together. With the help of companies like yours, these can be built ultra safe, they're ultra clean, and they're very low cost, but they are absolutely safe. Under Kamala's Green New Scam, billions and billions of taxpayer dollars are being sent to subsidize solar panel factories, windmill factories, battery production, and car production, all based in China. We are subsidizing massive amounts of product for solar, for wind. It's all made in China. Under the Trump administration, we will build American, buy American, and hire American. That's what we're going to be doing. Kamala's economic agenda rewards outsourcers and punishes American workers by making it economically impossible to manufacture in America. What I'm promising today is a total pro-American overhaul of our tax, regulation, and trade systems to promote domestic production and punish those who ship jobs and factories overseas or to places like Mexico, where right now, the head of the United Auto Workers doesn't know this, they're building some of the biggest car factories, just started, anywhere in the world. A person I know builds car factories. That's all he does, build car factories. He said the biggest ones in the world are being right now in Mexico, and they think they're going to bring those cars in, make them in Mexico, bring them in here, and sell them to our people, and destroy Detroit and the rest of our car business. They've already taken 30% before I got there. 30%. They did nothing against us when I was there. I told them, if you want to build car factories, you're going to have to pay a 100% tariff to get the car into this country. They immediately said, well, I guess we're not going to build a car factory, right? That's what happened. But now they're building the biggest in the world right in Mexico, and they think they're going to take our car. They're not going to do that if I'm here, because I will be putting massive tariffs on those cars coming across the border, and it won't make any economic sense. So I actually think they should stop building them unless they want to sell those cars to another country. Kamala wants no taxes on Chinese producers, wants no taxes. What's that all about? While imposing the largest tax hike in the history of our country on factories in the United States. Okay, so she wants a no-tax policy on China, but she wants to tax factories like this and other factories at levels that they've never seen before. Under her plan, manufacturers will pay even higher taxes in America than in communist China. By contrast, I will pass gigantic tax cuts for workers and keep their jobs here in the United States. They're going to stay here. We're going to beat everybody. We're going to beat them like a drum. And we were doing that against China. You know, there was a long time expression that China will take over the world's largest economy. It'll take it over in 2019. Well, in 2019, we were doing so well, 2018, 2017, that China never even came close. We were lapping them. They never came close. And even President Xi said, congratulations. They thought they would be. Long time, this is 15, 20 years ago, they said, 2018, 2019, China will dominate. Nope, we were doing, it would never happen. In fact, I said, after we started really doing it, as long as we have smart presidents, they'll never catch us because they can't beat our system. We will have big tax cuts for families and small businesses, and we will have no tax on Social Security and no tax on tips. So they haven't copied Social Security yet, but they will. Don't forget, he's the one that destroyed our seniors with inflation. Inflation has destroyed our seniors. It's the worst thing that could happen. The people that behaved the best, that did it the American way, that saved their money, they got decimated because their money went down, because they couldn't live. They were losing money. With me, they were putting money in the bank and making a lot of money. They were saving a lot of money. After I left, they were losing all of that money they saved. Kamala wants to spend $1.7 trillion in wasteful spending, causing more inflation. And she says it's a mistake to ask her how she's going to pay for it. Please, it's a mistake. She just said it. She just said something that nobody has any idea what she said. But she said it's a mistake to ask how we're paying for it. Kamala Harris can't answer how she'd pay for any of her new radicalized liberal spending schemes that will bankrupt our country and do it quickly, destroy Social Security, destroy Medicare. She has no clue how she'd pay for $25,000 to every first-time home buyer, including illegals, just like they were going to pay the bills of college students. Unfortunately, that didn't happen and won't happen. They gave up that. The Supreme Court gave it up because it was unfair to all of those people. One of the reasons, all of the people for years and years that paid back their loans, and now we're going to give something free, but it didn't happen. It was just talk. He knew it wouldn't happen too. Crooked Joe, he knew that was not going to happen. No clue how she'd pay for free health care for illegals. She wants to give free health care to illegals. Now, you want to stop people from coming into our country. The first thing you do, and you would have to do this immediately, no health care. We can't do that. We can't afford it. It's not sustainable. But they're doing it just the opposite. Come to America, live the American dream. We'll give your children free schooling. We'll give you free health care. We'll give you pensions. We'll put you into Social Security. This is why people are pouring into our country. And that's a very dangerous, in the caravans, that's a very dangerous trip. Thousands and thousands of people are dying in those caravans coming up to our country. And they're coming up because the promises are being made to them that just can't be kept. No clue how she'd pay for the $100 trillion, think of that, $100 trillion with a T, Green New Scam. It's a scam. Out of the $100 trillion, there's not $1 of it that would help our country. Not $1 of it. It'll destroy our country. And no clue how she'd pay for the hundreds of billions of dollars in new foreign aid giveaways. We're giving away money at levels that nobody has ever seen before. No other country would do it. No other country would be so stupid to do it. That's why it's so important to vote for Trump to stop the reckless spending and the destruction of our country. We will not have a country left. I will stop the special interest giveaways, cut waste, and restore common sense to our government. The Republican Party is the Republican Party of common sense. That's what it is. Kamala will bury American workers in regulations. I will liberate our workers with the largest regulatory cuts ever recorded. We've already done some of them, but she put them right back. They put them right back. Repealing every single job-killing regulation of the Biden-Harris administration. The electric vehicle mandate, which is absolutely so crazy, will be gone, and there will be no costly forced transition to all electric cars and trucks. If you want a gasoline-propelled car or a hybrid or an electric car, they're wonderful too. But not all. People need to go longer distances. They want to pay less money because they're fantastic. Electric is everything is great. You have to be able to buy everything. They have a mandate. We don't have enough electricity for ourselves. And now they're talking about putting all the cars on it. Well, it doesn't work because the cars don't go far. If you'd like to go from here to, let's say, Washington to look after we fix the Capitol up and make it safe again, which will take approximately quickly. But after we fix it up, and if you want to drive there, you don't want to stop 5 times. You want to be able to go there, and you want to be able to enjoy it, and you don't want to be mugged or shot or killed in our capital, which has become very unsafe. It's horribly run, graffiti stained, and we're going to fix it very quickly and beautifully. We're going to make it the most beautiful capital anywhere in the world, and we're going to make it totally safe. Police are going to do a great job. Simultaneously, we will modernize our trade policies. The United States has long been taken advantage of by other countries at levels that nobody has any idea. I would sit and look at these trade deals, many of which we renegotiated with Japan, with South Korea, with Canada, Mexico, many. But I'd look at these deals before we did the renegotiation. I'd say, who would make deals like this? I mean, they were either crooked or really stupid, one or the other. Probably crooked for the most part, because I don't think they're stupid. But we had the worst trade deals. No country's ever had trade deals like we had. We fixed many of them, made some of them extraordinary. We lose jobs and revenue. They gain everything. We lose jobs. We lose revenue. They destroy our country. They gain everything. And they wipe out our businesses, which is good for them because then they can supply us with whatever we were making. I stopped it 4 years ago, and I will stop it very quickly again, and we'll be making the product ourselves with our labor. We will not let countries come in, take our jobs, and plunder our nation into poverty. The way they will sell their product in America without having to pay any substantial tariff or tax is to build their factory in America and build their product in America using only American help. And we have the help. Kamala Harris says that a tariff is a tax on American consumers. She's wrong. It's a tax on a foreign producer. It's a tax on a foreign country. And I proved that better than anybody because I took in hundreds of billions of dollars worth of tariffs on different states, on different countries. And out of all of that money, we had no inflation. We had no inflation. It also gives you power over that country. If they want to have wars with somebody, we can say, no, if you do have wars, we're going to raise your tariffs. Oh, sir, we won't have a war. We're okay with it. When we've decided not to go after somebody, you know, one thing a little off this, everybody said, oh, we might have wars with Trump. We had no wars with Trump. First time in 78 years, we had no wars other than I finished some, like ISIS. 100% defeated 100% of the ISIS caliphate. What they did is Afghanistan, the most embarrassing day in the history of our country. And none of the generals got fired for the incompetence that they showed. Most embarrassing moment. We would have left with dignity and strength. We would have taken our $85 billion worth of equipment. We would have taken our hostages. We lost 13 great people. We had 47 people obliterated, the arms, the legs, the face, obliterated. What a horrible day it was. What an embarrassment. What a horrible day to have death, to have such injuries. Nobody talks about the 47 people that lost their limbs, that will suffer for the rest of their lives. As I've said many, many times before, as tariffs on foreign countries go up, taxes on American workers and families come down. According to one recent study, a small 10% tariff on foreign-made products will allow massive tax cuts for working families, create more than 3 million American jobs, raise household incomes by 6%. Think of that. And the 6% equates to $4,200 a year for a household and generate almost $1 trillion in economic growth, and it will go very quickly. It will also get rid of a large portion of our deficit because we don't want countries coming in here, stealing our jobs, hurting our country, killing our workers, leaving with everything, and we, as usual, end up with empty factory buildings that are falling down. We end up with nothing. We want tariffs. If somebody wants to come in and take our jobs, if somebody wants to come in and sell us their product that's made in their country, that's okay, but they've got to pay tariffs. They've got to pay a price for that. We're going to bring down your taxes at levels never seen before. We're going to pay off debt of our country because this country owes $35 trillion, but that rapidly can come down. And remember this. We're sitting on the largest amount of oil and gas. We have, I call it liquid gold. We have more liquid gold than Saudi Arabia. We have more liquid gold than Russia. But we don't use it. We go out and we buy from other countries at ridiculous prices. We buy now from Venezuela. We buy tar. It's not really, it's tar. And you know where we refine it? At a factory. Only one factory in the world can do it because of the nature of it. It's tar. It's not good stuff. It's in Houston, Texas. So all of that, if you're an environmentalist, all of that's going right into the air in our country. We bring in lots of tar, loads of it. We dump it in Houston and they refine it. We have pure stuff. We have the best and we have the most right under our feet. It's liquid gold, and we're going to use it, and we're going to reduce our deficit. We're going to reduce our debt. And we're going to reduce your taxes. We're going to do everything right, and it's going to happen quickly, too. And as we reduce burdens on U.S. manufacturers, our workers can make goods better and cheaper right here in our own country and right here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We don't need lectures on the economy from a candidate pushing communist price controls. Kamala has no idea what the hell she's doing. Her father is a Marxist professor, and I believe he taught her well. You know, he's a Marxist professor. Can you imagine? Does anyone know that? I wonder if they knew that when they did an overthrow or a coup on Joe Biden. I wonder if they knew where she comes from, where she came from, what her ideology is. But you could see it a little bit by this whack job. You know, he said, we're weird. That JD and I are weird. I think we're extremely normal people. We're like you, exactly like. He's weird. Did you ever see him go on the stage and go like crazy? It's like between his movement and her laugh, there's a lot of craziness. I'd say a step further than weird. Weird is a nice word by comparison. When I'm president, we're going to do things right. And when I was president, we imposed historic tariffs and prices, and we did it all. We did it all. Prices didn't go up. Everybody said, oh, if you do that, prices. No, the country made less money. That's what happened. Gave us tremendous political leverage over those countries, too, for things having nothing to do with economics. They hurt China, not America. That's why the Biden administration had no choice but to leave them in place. They've left them in place. They wanted to take them off. But so much money comes in from China and other places with the tariffs that I put on that Joe Biden, as much as he wanted to do his friends a favor, couldn't do them too much money. You couldn't justify it. There was no way to justify it. In my next term, I will revoke China's most favored nation trade status. It's very unfair. And by the way, I have great respect for President Xi. I think China and the United States will get along well together. I did until COVID came in. That was a step too far. But I had a great relationship with President Xi. I had a great relationship with most of the leaders. I'll pass the Trump Reciprocal Trade Act so that if China or any other country, it's not just China, the European Union treats us very badly. Nobody knows that very badly. We have a $250 billion deficit now with the European Union. But if China or the European Union, if any other group of countries or country makes us pay a 100 or 200% tariff or tax, we will make them pay a reciprocal tariff or tax of the exact same amount. So it's basically, you hurt us, we hurt you. It's an eye for an eye, and it's common sense. We will ensure that we have 100% domestic American supply chains of all essential goods. Our supply chain has crashed, and you don't write about it now, but it's still crashed. And all you have to do is say, where's the package that was supposed to be here 3 months ago? People aren't getting them. It's very bad what's happened. They've destroyed our supply chain, which is something I didn't think could be done. COVID proved that if we need it in a crisis, then we must be able to make it in America. We want to rely on ourselves. We have no choice. This is really a matter of national security. We will bring back electronic production. We're going to bring up electronics, too. Electronics, we buy everything away. When you see the sophistication of the product I just saw at this place, electronics is peanuts by comparison. But pharmaceutical, too, it's outside of this country, 95%. We're reliant on various other countries. Good countries, nothing wrong, but we want to do it ourselves. They make a tremendous amount of money, and we lose our jobs. And we want to do it ourselves. Mineral production, car production. We're going to bring back the auto industry. We can do that. We can do better than anybody in the world. They've stolen 59% of our car-making business. The union, the United Auto Workers, I think the people in that union are going to vote for me overwhelmingly because I'm going to bring car industry back. They are destroying it. When they agree to all electric cars, they're not going to be made in this country. We will be making no cars in this country. And I was the one with South Korea that got the tax put on and extended on the small trucks. And if I didn't have that tax, the most successful product made in this country is the small trucks. If I didn't get that tax, South Korea and China would be destroying us now with additional product. We saved them, so I hope the auto workers are listening because they have a union boss that doesn't have a clue. He doesn't have a clue. It's sad. I wish he did. I don't have to like him. I wish he did, but he doesn't have a clue what he's done to the auto business in allowing this to happen where all of those cars are going to be made in China, and it's going to happen quickly. With the help of companies like this one, we will rebuild our hollowed-out defense industrial base, ensuring that America is never in a situation where we don't have tanks, missiles, the raw materials to fight and win a war. We have to have those. What would happen if we had a war? We won't, with me, but you will have World War III, I believe, without me, but we won't have. But what would happen if we did? And let's say it was with China, but they give us all of our steel. So we'll have to call China for steel so we can fight a war with them. How stupid are these people? Upon taking office, I will invoke the Defense Production Act wherever it's necessary to very quickly ramp up capacity of essential products, and I will stop Japan from buying United States steel. We have a foreign country that wants to purchase one of our greatest, if you go back 70 years, our greatest country, our greatest company by far was United States Steel Corporation. That was the big deal. And now we have Japan buying it. They shouldn't be allowed to buy it. We have to make it work. They have to make it work. You don't want to sell U.S. steel. This is how we will rediscover the industrial heritage of our country. We will reclaim our manufacturing legacy. We will build up glorious American future fueled by Pennsylvania energy. You know, you're one of the largest in this country. You're one of the largest producers in the world. She doesn't know that. You're not going to produce. You're going to go from being one of the largest producers in terms of fracking, the energy produced, into a non-factor. Your state's going to be third world, like much of our country is being made third world by these people. They don't have a clue. But it's going to all be made with pride of the U.S. and with Pennsylvania pride and strengthened by strong, powerful Pennsylvania steel again. With your vote, we will destroy inflation, bring down prices. And prices are going to come down very substantially, achieve incredible economic growth, make America wealthy again, and we will bring back, most importantly, we're going to bring back a thing called the American dream. The American dream is dead. Right now, the American dream is dead. We're going to bring back the American dream. So vote for Trump on November 5th. We will be the most... Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you to Pennsylvania. You've been the reception coming here with the people outside waving. It was a beautiful sight. The love that they have for what we're trying to do and what we will do. I just leave you with this: vote on November 5th or sooner. November 5th will be the most important day in the history of our country. We're going to turn our country around. We're going to make America great again. Thank you, everybody. God bless you. God bless Pennsylvania. God bless America. Thank you very much, everybody.
There ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee.
Exited the premise. What an empowering speech. What an empowering speech, because you know what? Everything he said is everything we spoke about earlier today, really getting into how manufacturing affects our economy so drastically, and of course talking about the fact that inflation is what it is because of the reversal of a lot of the acts that he put in place right now. We do know that the Trump acts, the Trump tax cuts and the Trump job acts, that actually allowed us to have incredible tax cuts and more jobs in the country. The Harris administration wants to actually let that expire in 2025, but upon another administration under President Trump, I do believe he will continue to extend them so that we can benefit and see those manufacturing jobs coming back to the USA and bringing business here and watching all of these incredible goods and supplies that we're needing be manufactured and made in the USA.
Yeah, one of the things President Trump touched on today was obviously he wants to terminate the war on manufacturing. And I mentioned this earlier today in the broadcast, where the Harris and Biden administration has really attacked small businesses, which makes up more than 60% of small business here in the United States. So to hear that President Trump is wanting to terminate that is fantastic news for everybody in America, especially for large manufacturing. He's got a very pro-American power agenda. Build nuclear power plants.
That's a big one.
Get power back online. You know, obviously in states like California, where I formerly lived, we were told at times during the summer not to charge our vehicles because the power grid couldn't support it. So it was turn your air conditioner off in 90-degree weather and do not charge your car. So, you know, rather ridiculous things there.
We don't want to be told how much we can use our power. That's the one thing that gives us the power of the freedom that we have, is to be able to determine how much electricity we want to use, how much air conditioning, how many times a week we want to cook. We want to be able to have that right. That's the beauty of being an American. And, you know, every policy in that radical liberal policy book that Kamala Harris has laid out, which is very few, by the way, policy-wise, but they're all designed to bring jobs and wealth out of America versus back to America. So we got to get them back in America ASAP. We absolutely have to.
100%. And obviously we want to be able to have our freedoms, including the ability to charge the vehicles, that if we so choose to drive an electric vehicle, air condition our homes, cook our food, wash our clothes, you know, if you depend on electricity for that. And that's one of the things that President Trump outlined here and really pushed to the people here in York, PA today, was that he wants to enforce the power grid. He wants to bring it back. America wants to build power plants, get nuclear back online, really invest in the future of America's energy with that. And, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, continue, and then we have a sponsor to get to.
The other thing that he wanted to do is he wants to keep America at the forefront of cryptocurrency, obviously with crypto being our financial future in some ways, in so many ways. We want to make sure that we're staying ahead of our foreign countries like China and things like that really want to, try and jump in front of us in any way, shape, or form that they can when technology. So cryptocurrency and AI were something that President Trump touched on again today, staying at the forefront of where we are here in the United States with our technologies.
I'm glad you brought that up because he did say he wants to stay ahead of the game insofar as crypto and AI. Because listen, if you can't beat it, if you can't join it, you got to join it, but then you got to beat it. You can't just let it go and pretend it. You have to be a leader in this world, and America is a leader. And we're also leaders in giving you advice here on RSBN. And so we do, before we wrap up, we want to just get to a couple sponsors. Our Birch Gold sponsor is so special to us because in the crazy times we live in, we need security, we need peace of mind, and the only way that we can have it is to make sure we're diversifying our savings, and Birch Gold Group is going to help you to do just that. You can absolutely trust them to get on board to help you purchase actually physical gold and silver, and we're really proud of having them as a sponsor. What you need to do is you need to text TRUMP, T-R-U-M-P, to 989898, and what you're going to do is you're going to receive a free info kit on gold, and in August only, you're also going to have the ability to get a free silver coin that depicts President Trump on July 13th when the attempted assassination on his life happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, and it's a beautiful moment in history to remember when he reminded us to fight, 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 and you will get that in the month of August only. It's a celebration of a leader who's dedicated to our championing our lives and our security, and it's precious metal, and that's a great way for you to be smart about your savings. So secure your savings today. Again, we will do that with your free Trump silver coins as well as your physical gold. Just text Trump to 989898.
Very good.
There you go.
That's awesome. Well, again, another amazing rally here with President Trump, who brought the energy, talked about his plans to rebuild America and make America great again. We thank you for joining us today on RSBN. Again, just take a moment. Donate if you can. Any amount helps us continue to do what we do. It's rsbnnetwork.com/donate. Again, for Mike Fortin.
No, we've got some sponsors.
Oh, we do? Okay.
Yeah, we've got to get to all our sponsors.
Go ahead. Right ahead.
The wellness, I don't know if you have the IFB on, but the wellness company is also a big sponsor of ours. And before we sign off, we always have to give you a chance to get involved with our sponsors. They give you so many great opportunities, including this unpredictable world we're living in right now with the bird flu being an issue. In fact, the summit is coming in October. It's very reminiscent of Event 201 that happened and foreshadowed the pandemic, the COVID pandemic, of course, that you all remember well. And there are some troubling times, but there's also good news. And the good news is that you don't have to be scared if you're prepared. And the wellness company is going to give you the chance to get the Contagion Emergency Kit. Every home in America should have at least one, packed with all kinds of medications, like ivermectin. You'll have antibiotics, and you won't have frantic searches for a doctor or sitting in emergency rooms or waiting rooms. Just a few clicks and you'll have that preparedness kit. In times like these, having that Contagion Emergency Kit can really save lives and protect your entire family. It's not just a luxury, but it's a necessity. So go to twc.health/RSBN. Grab your Contagion Emergency Kit now. Again, one more time, twc.health/RSBN. And if you use the code RSBN, we'll save you $45 at checkout. Made in the USA, by the way.
One more with Tax Network. Are you struggling with back taxes and unfiled returns? The IRS is escalating collections, adding 20,000 new agents and sending over 5 million letters to kick off 2024. In these challenging times, your best defense is Tax Network USA. Don't let the IRS take advantage of you. With over 14 years of experience, Tax Network USA has saved their clients over $1 billion in back taxes. No matter the size of your tax issue, their expertise is your advantage, and they specialize in negotiating with the IRS, aiming to significantly reduce your debt. Tax Network USA doesn't just negotiate, they also protect your assets from the IRS and seizures and manage your yearly returns for ongoing compliance. Importantly, they're licensed to help with all issues in all 50 states, regardless. Importantly, they are licensed to help with all state tax issues. The clock is ticking. Don't wait as the IRS steps up its game. Seize control of your financial future now. Contact Tax Network USA for immediate relief and expert guidance. Call 1-800-357-1415 or visit tnusa.com/RSBN. Don't let tax issues overpower you. Turn to Tax Network USA and find your way to financial peace of mind.
Listen, we can all use help with taxes, couldn't we? So it's a wonderful sponsor. We're proud of them. And also, here's a question for you. Is your son or daughter heading out to college soon? A lot of people, right? A lot of people going to college. In fact, President Trump just announced that his granddaughter Kaya is actually going to be, Kaya is going to, I believe, University of Miami on a golf scholarship, I think. So I don't know if it's a scholarship, but I know to play for Miami. So I'm very happy for her. Meanwhile, if your son and daughter are heading off to college, you're in luck because, you love this, My Pillow is bringing back, ready, the $25 extravaganza. It's amazing. Mike Lindell and his dedicated employees have been part of cancel culture. Many of you know that. And they want to pass the savings directly on to all of you. So the 2-pack multi-use My Pillows are just $25. My Pillow sandals, $25. Beach towels, $25. 6-pack towel sets, $25. And even recliner pillows, you're going to guess, right? $25. Sheets and blankets, guess where they start?
$25?
Yes, you got it. And another amazing offer is on the My Mattress topper for the college dorm beds. Oh, by the way, I've slept on the My Mattress topper. It's amazing. Changes the game big time. Those beds in college dorms are not comfortable at all. This is a necessity. The Twin XL topper will fit most college dorm beds, and you'll have your kids getting that great sleep that they deserve when they have to study and pull the all-nighters. The My Pillow topper comes in every bed size. You can put it right on over your bed, and believe me, you're going to feel the difference. It is incredible and provides the best support. For a limited time, get yours for as low as $69.99. It's a great deal. These amazing offers are not going to last, so you're going to want to make sure you go order now at mypillow.com. Use the promo code. I believe I don't have the promo code. It's probably on your screen right now, but absolutely make sure you go to mypillow.com. If you use our promo code, you'll be able to get some special deals.
And can you send me that, because my wife's always taking my pillows, so extra pillows would be absolutely fantastic.
That's it. I will definitely send it over. You guys, thank you so much for everybody joining us today. It was so wonderful to be here and to be so close to President Trump and hear him speak so passionately about how he's going to truly make America great again and also make America wealthy again. So it's been a treat.
It has been absolutely great. To hear the energy independence and what he plans to do, and really truly laying out a policy of substance and a real plan and a way to get there and do that. So it's something that we're not hearing from the other side right now. This is what America needs. This is the leader that America needs. President Donald J. Trump.
Absolutely. What a treat. Thank you all so much again for joining us. Big week ahead. Tomorrow we'll be in Michigan. On Wednesday, I believe, North Carolina. Thursday, I believe, at the border in Arizona. And Friday in Arizona as well, if I'm not mistaken, and possibly even Vegas.
Possibly even Las Vegas.
So all over. So I have had a pleasure joining you, Mike. Thank you. It's been so great. And of course, you can follow both of us. Go make sure you follow RSBN on all the platforms. And you can follow me at Nick Stans on Truth Social and on Instagram, as well as Nikki Stanzione on Twitter, now known as X.
You can find me on Instagram at Mike, the number 4 TIN, and you can find me on X at Mike, FORTIN, on Twitter.
Fabulous. It's been a pleasure, everybody. God bless you. Thanks so much for joining us.
You ask and we listen. We're finally bringing the most requested offer ever. Get the queen size premium My Pillow, now only $19.98. My Pillow is made with patented adjustable fill. It adjusts to your exact individual needs regardless of your sleep position. It helps keep your neck aligned and holds its shape all night long so you get the best sleep of your life. But that's not all. Get our 6-piece kitchen or bath towel sets, only $25. Our brand new mattress topper as low as $69.98. Get our famous My Pillow bed sheets for as low as $25 and so much more. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get huge discounts on all My Pillow products, including the premium queen size My Pillow, only $19.98. That's the lowest price ever. Don't delay, order today. From all of us here at My Pillow, thanks America!
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
Welcome to the Right Side Broadcasting Network. We're not like the other media outlets out there that cut and edit what other people say. 2015, we were created by our founder, Joe Seals, to cover President Donald J. Trump's speeches and rallies, to which we continue to do to this day. We've also covered important conservative events like CPAC, tvOS, March for Life, and many other important events and hearings around the country. We were made for people like you, everyday Americans who are tired of the mainstream media, who are tired of being lied to, manipulated, and fed an agenda. Our goal here at Right Side Broadcasting is to allow you to see the truth, giving our correspondents and commentators a wide latitude to speak their minds. You won't find anything like this in the mainstream media. Your support through your donations, locals, and supporting our advertisers allows us to continue to cover important events around the country each and every day. So, from us here at Right Side Broadcasting, thank you for supporting us and the right side of history.